perfect match. Chosen by science, but you had to marry them right this second. You would tell me, well, that sounds pretty whack. And I would add, you have 8 weeks to know if you really love them. You just got married at first sight. Jason and Aysha gonna tell you wrong from right. Are all these couples just disasters waiting to happen? Imagine if one of them could be a perfect match.
Hello and welcome to A Perfect Match, where we talk about this lovely show, Married at First Sight. I'm Aysha. I'm one of your co-hosts, and we'll be talking about episode 9 today. Can't wait to talk about it. Plenty of things to discuss. And first, I have with me a guy who I stay having to ask him, what's with the attitude? Like, I just, it's simple things like, oh, hey, Jason, do you want to record? Or, hey, Jason, are you free at this time? Like, this is the only time I can do. Would you please join me? And he's like, I can read it over the text. I'm just like, good Lord. Sometimes he doesn't even text me back. Then I just have to wonder, is he going to join me to podcast about this episode? So I just need y'all to know the passive aggressiveness that I deal with. But one of my co-hosts today, Jason Reed. Jason, how are you?
Aysha, like I just be trying to be with you and like talk about Married at First Sight, but you just keep asking me all these questions. Like, what do you think about this couple? What's your rating for this couple? Like, which order do you want to do the couples in today? Like, well, I'm just trying to like be in the same space as you, like trying to think and talk about Married at First Sight. You're just so aggressive with your questions. I can't take it. I'm sorry. I used the A word.
Wow. Just wow. Do you see the words that are coming out of your mouth?
Yeah, I don't even want to sit here next to you. I just want to like choose a seat, but you make me sit next to you in the little windows. So I'm here. But I'm here. I'm not happy to be here, but I'm here. Okay. So
I hope you cringed as you had to say aggressive to me as a Black woman.
As a Black woman, you would have called me aggressive? How dare you? Yeah, but I'm happy to be here. To
awesome.
Talk about jam-packed episode.
It really is.
This was a lot happened here. So
yeah, and we couldn't do it alone. We have our third co-host of the season who is not aggressive, but is direct as I am. Mari Fourth. Mari, how are you?
We're not going to do all of this here. We're not going to do all of this.
We're not going to come with the attitude.
Okay. All right. We're not going to do this here, you guys. You know, Aysha, did you hear that Jason said that you were crossing his boundaries? Jason, do you see that you were giving Aysha mixed signals?
I hear that now.
Yeah.
We're not going to do all of this.
Yeah.
Now I hear it. I didn't hear it before.
Well, we're going to do this today. We're all going to be not like this. Okay.
We're not going to do all of this.
All right. No. So glad to be back. This episode. This is such a good episode. I'm so glad to be back to talk about it with you guys. So much to talk about.
This is an episode that really reminds you why you fell in love with Married at First Sight, right?
Yeah.
So much dysfunction, so much mess, and an episode even Pastor Cal can be happy with, right? There was some, there was some sexy time happening. Boy, this one just had it all.
Yep.
I was like rubbing my feet together. I said, okay.
Rubbing your feet together. What are you, a cricket? What are you?
Here. I have to explain something else to you, Jason. It just means when you're excited, you're like giddy for someone, and so you're just rubbing your feet together.
That's what you do when you're excited. You rub your feet together? Okay. All right. I have to remember that. I'm gonna rub my feet right up.
Next time you're so happy for your wife, just say, I was just rubbing my feet together for you. Well, if you're in front of her, just do it.
Just rub my feet together.
Is this a person from the South thing? Is this
this person from the South?
Listen, I'm from Dallas. I went to college in Austin. Now I live in Houston. I've always lived in Texas, and I've never said that I'm from the South. I don't think that.
And does that dictate
Texas-
your affection style, how you give and receive affection?
Honestly, I would love a poll. I would love for people in our Facebook group to let us know if you live in Texas or you know someone from Texas. Do they say they're from the South? Because as far as I'm concerned, and the people that I know from Texas is in a league of its own. Texas is, because Texas has so many different identities. We don't identify ourselves as the South, like
Texas
Alabama.
And what constitutes the South, right? Because I mean, I know we got the Mason-Dixon line. Like, we're in his mind, where does South stop and where does North begin?
He's thinking Houston.
Yeah, Houston is just the South. Anything above Houston is the North.
It's a talking point at this point. But anyway, we're gonna get into it because clearly we have a lot of things to say about that specific couple. But make sure you go subscribe to the Love at First Sight feed. That's where you can get all of our podcasts for A Perfect Match. You can get all of our podcasts about Love is Blind. In a week, you can get our season recap of The Ultimatum. Me, Jason, and Mary, not Mari. Me, Jason, and Mary will be talking about The Ultimatum season 3, which has actually been such a treat. I saw you tweeting about it, or I saw you blue skying about it, Mari.
I was like, why? While I was work from home sick, I was like, why am I watching this? And I'm like, y'all pulled me back in. I was out of The Ultimatum, and everybody,
girl, same.
You gotta watch it. You gotta watch it.
It's good.
And it is. This season is wild. I
know
these contracts, y'all. Netflix, tighten up. Tighten up. Okay, tighten up. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, I honestly was like, I'm usually rooting for the trial marriages to work. That's how I was with Queer Love and season 1. This season, absolutely not.
I want everybody to fail.
I want every single person to leave here single and ready to mingle.
No one leaves happy.
But yes, we will be talking about the season in its entirety. So if you subscribe to Love at First Sight feed, you will know when that comes out. So we're just waiting for the entire season to be out. So make sure wherever you go listen to podcasts, go subscribe. Also, make sure you leave us a 5-star rating and review. We really appreciate it when y'all are letting us know that y'all are enjoying the content. We'll shout you out on the podcast. So this first one is from Kim1169. It says, looking forward to your weekly recaps. Love your podcast and the added banter. I have been listening for years. Time flies. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, years. Wow. Years. Wow. Okay. I have been listening for years. Time flies. Happy holidays to you all, including Pepper and Cinnamon. Thank you so much. I know they appreciate it.
Aysha, where are the Christmas photos? We are waiting in anticipation for the Pepper and Cinnamon on Santa's lap photos. Where are they?
Well, you must know, they took photos of Santa last Tuesday. So I don't yet have the photo, but they usually drop just in time for us to post it on Christmas.
Is that the Christmas card this year?
They have on their Christmas PJs.
Of course.
Awesome.
So I was very excited to get them in and get their photos with Santa at the best little doghouse of Texas. I'm gonna shout them out now. Look,
you get paid every time you say that. I mean, this a low-key sponsorship.
Listen, it's a loose. Yeah. My agreement with them is as loose as the Ultimatum contestants.
Okay.
There is no binded contract. So yeah, they have a special place in my heart. That is actually the first place I got recognized from being on the show. So I was like, I walked in, they said, "Are you on Survivor?" I said,
"Oh, I thought you meant do you podcast with Married at First Sight?"
No.
Aysha?
They're like, "No, I saw it." And I said, "Oh my gosh, that's Pepper and Cinnamon's mom." So how sweet. So yes, thank you, Kim. Happy holidays to you as well.
The one I'm going to do is from LL from Earth. It's entitled Love at First Soundbite. I never watched a single episode of MAFS, but I pray it never goes off the air so I can keep listening to Aysha and Jason forever. They do a great job giving enough context so that I feel like I understand the show and can enjoy the hilarious banter. Anywho, love y'all. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much, LL from Earth. That was a great review. And yes, you, as we keep telling people, you don't have to even watch the show to listen to the podcast. We give it to you. We give everything to you. As Mari knows.
As Mari knows. Mari normally quits and just listens to Jason and Aysha midway through. And we have another one from Issa Karina. The subject says, Mary needs to be on full time. Petition to have Mary as a permanent host. All 3 hosts, please. I enjoy the enthusiasm. I'm assuming it's me. And I'm going to give them grace and say it was the autocorrect. Autocorrect get me
twice
on the names all the time. Okay. We're giving grace here. Thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, I just come in when I come in.
Yeah, legit. When I saw this, I was like, Mary. It's like Mary doesn't even watch Married at First Sight, like at all. Like she watches Love Is Blind. This is the ultimatum. Like, but I don't think she watched Married at First Sight.
Because it's like the timing is off, right? Like,
yeah.
If we were actively talking about Love Is Blind, then I would be like, okay. But then I would be like, okay, they're confused because Mary is a permanent host for Love Is Blind.
Oh, right, she is, yeah.
And then I thought about it. I was like, what? Are they talking about Mari? I was like, oh, okay, I was talking about Mari. But yeah, Mari is way too busy to be our permanent third guest. She is she's wheeling and dealing out there in these streets, talking about it and everything and doing everything. So
yes, it's mostly
Mari does not have time for us to be
a mom of 2 beautiful children.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Full handful. But
and
I just love whenever they let me come on and so thank you guys though.
I do have to admit, your Facebook post, I was like, a third one.
Like, you got us. You got everybody.
I forgot how many new followers and stuff I have since having my son, because everybody who was following me before I had my son knew the reference.
Post.
Yeah. Knew that it was a reference to an earlier post. And then I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah, for those that don't know what we're talking about, Mari posted on Facebook another Sonic. We were like, another baby? She posted a sonogram, but no, this was from the first child.
It was like the announcement of the baby, but it was for her.
It even said 2019 on the bottom there.
No one pays attention to that. No one pays attention to that. We just see a big sonogram, like, oh my god, again, another one.
No, I did before interacting with the post. I said, wait, let me look. I said, okay, this is a flashback.
Before interacting with the post.
I even said now, then and now. It's whatever. It's okay.
No one pays attention. No one pays attention to that stuff.
Reading comprehension is in the toilet these days. I get it. That was my bad. That was my bad. That was my B.
Yeah, I remember. It's 2024.
Yeah.
Quick hits here.
Yeah, the TikTok generation doesn't have time to pay attention and to really focus. Okay, we got everything quick and fast. We see a picture, we're like, that's it. That's the thing.
There was too many of y'all wishing a third one on me.
Never. Mari said,
you will never catch me. Never.
But yes, make sure you go subscribe. We shout out our ratings here, our 5-star ratings. Also, make sure you go join the Facebook group. You can look up A Perfect Match podcast. We have a great time in there talking about any and everything, mostly Married at First Sight. And there is a password to join. So this week the password is,
what's with the attitude?
And that is from our favorite expert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, that third expert, right? Because we always have Cal, we always have Pepper. That third expert needs to bring the spice, to bring, because
that's what Dr. Viviana had.
That's what Viviana did. Yep.
Yes.
So they need to be the ones that really kind of break it down, for real. Like Dr. Pepper, Pastor Cal are very polite. Dr. Pia will gather you and tell you about yourself if she needs to, and bring the receipts as she does to Michelle this episode.
She's gonna say, "What we not gonna do."
Here's what's not about to happen. You're not about to get snippy with me because that's not what I'm here for. Let me tell you. And I think we all remember Dr. Pia's interactions with Brennan last season and how she wasn't having none of his garbage either. So I'm glad to see that she's still letting fools know what's up, what's the realness is.
Exactly. All right, let's jump into it. We're gonna talk about a couple that is they were worrying us the past couple weeks?
They were wearing
Me.
y'all.
Me.
Not
They
me.
were wearing
Wait.
you, Aysha. I don't remember what
Yes.
your rating was, Mari. Though.
Not me.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, Aysha. They were wearing you. Okay,
Worrying
I have
me.
been consistently in this couple's corner every week, all the time. And this episode, they really validated my feelings and my fives for them all season. So, Aysha, you go ahead with your hater self and tell us about Thomas and Camille.
And unfortunately, I won't be able to show their picture because it's doing what it was doing last week and not allowing me to share.
Oh no, Mama Welch gonna get the belt. Oh my god.
You know, technical difficulties will get the best of us. I should have tested it pre-show, but you know.
Oh well, y'all should know who these people are by now.
It's episode 9, people.
It is 9.
My people, we Mama
Mom.
Dang. Got the call out.
Aysha, you just need to take those pictures, caption them, and just send them to Mama Welch for reference.
Right.
Just
This
text
is
them
for the
to her.
podcast.
Yeah.
I need to send her my PowerPoint deck. So Camille and Thomas. So we are on the heels of the flag football game from last week. So they come in, like all the couples are just like right after. Most of the couples are like right after that. So he's like limping. They go back to their living room. They're sitting on the ground, which I do the same thing. No outside clothes. No, once you've been sweaty and stuff, do not sit on the couch. That I have a strict rule in my living room like that. Okay.
That must be nice. When you have kids, it does not matter.
Out the window.
That's true.
It does not matter.
So they're sitting on the floor. They're kind of talking about the flag football game, and he said he was just trying to impress her, and she says it was really nice seeing that competitive side of him because she was like she felt a push. She turned around. It was him trying to get by. Blah blah blah. But she was like she really
he is giving her a concussion to catch a touchdown game. Like get out of here.
And she loved it.
She's a basketball player. She said she grew up playing basketball competitively. So she's like, okay, look at the edge.
She liked that fire.
And what? He got up, towered over her, did the whole like, it's my house.
Steps over her. And she's like,
you want an alpha? You want a leader? How about that?
Because that is different than what she said she's been seeing. She's been seeing this very polite guy. She wants him to have like some oomph. So she got to see that. I was like, okay, Thomas. He did strain a quad and a hammy. He'll be okay. You know, he's just 42 out here playing flag football and very intensely. Happens to the best of him.
Is she some sort of physical therapist or something?
That's what or just his wife.
That's what I was thinking.
She was just stretching him out. She was just trying to help him out.
Well, he kept saying like she knows the like the names of the muscles and stuff.
I mean, it's quad and hammy. I don't think you need a medical degree to know those things.
I mean, later in the episode, she talks about her lats.
Her
traps.
Yeah. And I was like, I
don't know where traps are.
The traps are like here, and then the lats are like the back. Yeah.
All right, fitness. Nope. Go ahead.
Okay, fitness.
All right, gym rat. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
All right, Madison.
I know.
So she tells him lay on the stomach. She stretches him out. She's asking him, like, okay, so what she handles that. She asked him what was he thinking about last week? And he's like, well, one of the things he learned from Gabby, who is Camille's sister, was that being a Black person is different. It's a different experience than being a Black woman in America. And he said he's literally never thought about it that way, which is very like, it's valid that he's probably never had to think about it that way. And so I'm glad that he's at least being honest about that, opening his eyes, because, you know, if he's adopted and he's had a white mother, and then if he doesn't have any Black sisters, then it's just like this world that he doesn't have to think about it. Even though he has said he dates Black women in the past.
It is interesting that it just feels like at 42 years old,
I know.
Now he's getting the blindfold tied off from his head to look at the broader picture of the world. It's kind of interesting for me, and the way Thomas carries himself sometimes, I'm like, you're 42. Like
Mm-hmm.
you haven't had a lot of these experiences yet. So maybe he just comes from a very like kind of sheltered,
Privilege.
privileged kind of mindset. So
Yeah.
it's interesting to see him kind of to witness this older man experiencing more of the world than he has before.
I mean, like her sister said last week or 2 weeks ago or whenever it was, Lord knows. Sometimes when you can move through the world as a man, like he could maneuver through the world as a man, not necessarily having to worry about being a black man. Plus, being biracial adds another layer to that as well. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because, you know, given the way of what little we know about his upbringing, I'm not surprised that he isn't as well versed in the struggles of a black woman and our unique struggles and intersectionality. I'm just glad that he's like willing to learn and his
Yes.
ears are open and he's not denying her experience, her sister's experience. That's so like at that point, I don't care when the blindfold is lifted off your face, just as long as you let it be lifted off and you know you want to actually learn more. As long as you don't want to keep that thing on when you find out, you know?
You know, being flexible and open and willing to hear new ideas, which a lot of the people that we're going to talk about this episode just are not. So it's good to see Thomas.
Imagine this conversation with our other black couple.
Boy.
Like, could you imagine her trying to have him understand her experience as a black woman in America?
So, yes, I can, because I've seen those conversations happen a lot.
So Thomas does say that conversation helped him see Camille's perspective better. And she's like, look, I didn't mean for any of that conversation to make it seem like it's a deal breaker. I like you and I don't want to change you. She's just trying to explain like her point of view. He's like, I like you too. And I feel really good about where we are in our marriage.
Yes. And I need the Camille haters to really let that sink in. I think y'all in the Facebook group. Let that lady live. She was not being mean about any of her critiques to him. Calm down, y'all. Calm down. They're good. You know, let's not come for her swag. She's trying to be respectful, y'all.
Her monochrome fits.
Yes. Everybody's like, oh, like, I'm so mad. How's she gonna talk about his swag? Blah, blah, blah. Y'all, she just trying to say, again, she just wants him to grab her butt. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
That's literally all it is. She just wants a little bit more right. So, you know, let's chill. They're good. Like she said, we're good. I was just saying my piece. We're gonna work through it. And I love this couple. Oh my God. If there was no Camille and Thomas on this, it would be
over.
Like throw the whole season away. Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's you know, it's like you know, they didn't have a whole lot to really focus on. So this really became their struggle.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
exactly.
Because they didn't have a lot to focus on, I was like, well, okay, well, we got what we got what we got here. So that's gonna be all your story up until this moment where things go down. So that's what they chose to focus on.
Yeah.
And I think us as math fans, we've been traumatized, much like how we realized we were traumatized on Twitter once we got off onto Blue Sky. We're traumatized as to one issue comes up for a couple and it's a deal breaker, like, and everybody hates each other. And now it's like, oh wow, we just watched a couple like work through something and like try and get past it. It's like, oh, wow, they're on the other side.
Two mature people working out a situation. What is this?
Is this conflict resolution?
What?
we don't do that over here
on this show. Get out of my show.
Sides. What?
Get out of my talk. Get out of my toxic mess, you non-toxic people. What are you doing here?
You're not invited.
You're not welcome here.
Wow. I said, is this Married at First Sight? So
real adults? What?
It's wild concept. So she's coming home from work. He's setting up. He decorated the living room. He has like a massage table out. He's doing rose petals.
My boy loves his rose petals. He's got a closet full of rose petals boxes. Just like, I'll pull out the old rose petals and get them every time. Bam,
and then at the end, he scrunches them up. Gonna need these in a week.
She's like swinging up to throw them away, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm gonna need those. You know how much roll those cost? He's going for $20 a box at Target. What are you doing?
So he's really setting up. He decided he is giving her a personal massage. He has some champagne waiting for her. And she's like, confessional, Camille, this night and day from last episode, I have never had somebody do this for me. He got the rose petals. I'm feeling real special. I said, yes, girl. Appreciate him.
Mm-hmm.
So she does say her problematic areas are her traps. And listen, these are things you do need to communicate. I got a massage this weekend, and I had to say just that. I was like, my traps are killing me. And sure enough, I had way too many knots. So I can relate.
You know what? No, I'm not even gonna ask that question. Let's move on.
What's your a professional massage?
All right, let's
at Massage Heights.
Let's distinguish that, please.
Yeah, it's a chain out there.
You have too many listeners for you to be giving out these free promos. I'm sorry.
Okay.
They need to pay you.
No more
I
plugs.
Never heard
no
of
more
them
plugs.
Before. Yeah.
No more plugs. And so he's like massaging her. He starts kissing her back. He's kissing her legs.
This is the most awkward kissing. Like,
because why is the camera here, man? Like, let these people do what they're trying to do. Get out the way, Mr. Cameraman.
You can tell he was like a little apprehensive. Like he was like, I'm not sure if this is okay, but like I was like, this is the oddest, like most awkward romantic scene. Maybe you're right, Mar. Maybe it's just because we're in this such an intimate moment.
Right.
It's like, okay, this is odd. This is weird.
The R&B music that they cued.
God. I was like, what?
It was like, it definitely wasn't your like typical like sexy time music. It was, they said, let's put the R&B twist on it. Like, we're really trying to show y'all they are connecting. And even Camille says it's very like mid massage. She's like, it is very important for me to have a good sexual connection. Like, he's like, and I can make a decision once we've connected on all fronts.
Tom's like, oh, like, okay,
yeah,
like, really?
It was that back of the knee kiss. It did it. It sealed it for her.
It was that back of the leg kiss he gave her.
He's like, look, I'm there. I just want to make sure you're comfortable. And they head to the bedroom.
She's like, I think it's just time to bang it out. Again, that was what I heard in my head. I was like,
that's all
what she said.
Yeah.
She's like, I think it's time to see if this is something. This is the real thing.
Yeah. And we find out that they did consummate their marriage.
They're like, wait, can we have our microphones back? Because we're gonna need, like, we don't want to hear all this. Like, what does the cameraman do after? Like, should we go? Like, should we leave? Like,
do we interrupt the moment?
Are they going in there to do it right now or what? We're just standing out here. I don't know what we're supposed to do.
I know, right? Just all up in the moment. Okay, because then after that, you're all, and then you gotta take it all off.
Yeah,
you might as well just go back to the massage after that. They leave.
Before y'all start banging it out. Let's get you de-mic'd.
Right.
We'll keep it in there. If it's up to y'all.
Right.
We can leave it in if you want. But like, I don't know. This was because we've been psyched out before, right? We've had so many of these romantic moments where they're like, we're talking about sex, doing this and that, and then we come back later and we're like, yeah, we just made out a little bit. Like,
nothing happened.
Yeah. I thought we were getting somewhere.
Yeah.
But this was not one of those situations, apparently.
Right. So this episode was our Dr. Pia visits, and it definitely wasn't a conversation where they need to see like, oh, what can make y'all more comfortable. So Dr. Pia comes in, they have champagne ready for her. She's like, okay. And then this is when I saw the Camille 2-piece, same color fit that everybody online wants to talk about. Let her have it. She said, I got these outfits. I'm gonna wear them. I thought it was cute. And so they're talking to Dr. Pia, and Thomas says that like Camille impresses him every day. And she's like, he's so sweet. And then Dr. Pia is like, okay, and have like, how are y'all doing? And Camille's like, well, we did consummate the marriage. And then they cheers.
She put a little effort. She's like, yeah, we consummated the marriage. I was like,
and what she didn't say was like, and it was good. Like,
right.
What doesn't need to be said doesn't need to be said, because you could tell. I was like, oh, okay.
She said,
we had a good old time. Let's just say that.
Right.
Okay. And Tom just in there cheesing.
Like he do, just with the smile on. Yeah, we did. We really did.
Yep,
we did it.
That did happen. Yeah.
But going back to the moment though, I thought it was interesting that like Camille again kind of has to take the lead in this, where she has to be like, all right, it's time. I wonder how she like really felt about that she had to kind of take the lead on that.
I don't know, because I mean, he did say like, I want to make sure you're comfortable. Like, I mean, he's giving that vibe. Like, I am ready to proceed how you want to proceed. And it does feel like he's in this place where he feels like if he had done that, that's him initiating it and not sure that that's where she's at specifically. Because even her saying, I want to connect on all fronts, that don't mean tonight. You know, that could mean like eventually we need to make sure we get there. And so I'm glad she made it very clear. Look, this is going down tonight.
Right. And now hopefully once the floodgates are open, they feel more comfortable with each other, and it flows more naturally now. Like all he probably needed was a green light and stuff like that. Yeah. Or, like still maybe he took charge on the pedal. So it's all good. They're all good right now.
Yeah, I mean, and the way that she
is like, I need to know more. Tell me more, please. I need to know the whole account of everything, step by step. Don't miss a moment. Who took charge? Who was the leader in the bedroom?
Thank God it was Dr. Pia then.
Right.
You demonstrate what you did.
I mean, by the way she's acting, it seems like he did take charge. I don't think she has any issues about what happened.
She did not seem like
she had no complaints.
No complaints.
She did say it did help bridge the gap and brought them closer. And Dr. P was like, okay, let's talk about like boundaries. And Camille's like, look, I'm open. As long as communication's there, nothing's off limits. His eyes get big. And then
now listen,
like, wait, what?
When you say nothing is off limits, like, what do you mean?
He's like, well,
I want to know where we can go and where we can't go, because that's important to know.
She said she liked to have a good time. She said, I like to have a good time.
Yeah. She said because he was like, well, there's things I've never done before. And she's like, look, she said it gets crazy over here. She said, whips, chains. I like to have fun.
Like, but who's getting whipped though? Who's getting whipped? Me or you?
Yeah. She said, we'll find out.
I was like, yes, Camille. TBD. I was like, oh, that was hilarious. Tom was like,
Tom was like, oh, he was like, oh my, like, I don't know if I'm ready for all that.
He like buttons his clothes.
Get a little hot in here, don't you think?
Right. So Dr. Pia, she says, like, look, being sexually intimate with somebody is the most intimate you can be. Like, what do you need to take it to the next level in terms of like, falling in love? And Camille says that, him taking the lead role and having opinions, like that would be attractive for her. And so he says, like, it is difficult saying the L word at his big age. He said the L word. Because he holds it in high regard. Yeah. He does put a lot of emphasis. He puts a lot of weight on love, and like, because he hasn't experienced it a lot. And he was like, I've always told myself, like, if I get married, that's the person I'm ever gonna, that's the person I'm with forever. And Dr. Peter said, well, you are married. He said, well, previously I thought that way. And so she's like, well, what are you afraid of? He's like, well, when you love someone, you put yourself out there and then they can be gone. And he's like, starts crying. And he's like, he feels very lucky to be where he is today, because sometimes he doesn't feel like he deserves to be in this position. And he feels like in past relationship, he hasn't always been a good partner. And so Dr. Pia asks, like, Camille, like, what's going through your mind when he says all this? And she's like, look, I'm an overthinker too, but I think everybody deserves the best out of life. And Dr. P is like, okay, well, what does love mean to you? And she's like, well, love is continuing to allow her to be herself and be an open book, and that will allow her to fall faster. And she really appreciates their pace, and she feels like they're getting to the point where they can't see life without the other person. And I think that's a big statement.
That is, yeah. And that goes with what he's saying. Like, I thought this was very telling because Tom gets emotional, he starts crying. And I remember saying at the beginning of the season, like, I was like, he's very particular. I was afraid that the reason he's 42 without being married is because he was so particular about the woman he wanted to marry. But come to find out, it was a defense mechanism of not getting hurt, with him saying like he doesn't want to put himself out there, have somebody be loved and then them be taken away. That's where I was like, okay, so he wasn't just particular about who he's with, he was afraid of getting hurt and losing that person, which makes sense with what we do know about his childhood, being adopted, his dad passing away, all of that. So I thought this was like a very big moment, and I think they're both on the same page about what love means to them. And like you said, Aysha, not being able to see yourself without this person, like that feeds into that fear that Tom has. So it was such a touching moment after such a hilarious conversation about sex that I'm like, I am all in for them. I'm glad that they feel like they're on the right pace.
And you can tell by his tears, like he feels comfortable being vulnerable with her. It's like, that's a next step, that they are headed in the right direction. So the next thing we get from them, they are at a jewelry store. They are looking for earrings. And we get a confessional. She's like, well, look, he said he has his ears pierced, so I want to see what it looks like. So they're looking at options. They're looking at like all different types of earrings. She's like, I really like how jewelry looks on him. Like it turns his swagometer up. She's got him in a chain. She got him in a bracelet, a watch.
Dripping ice.
He's
He's like, I think I need a mic.
Put a grill in his mouth. He's like,
okay, no, that would have been too much. I could not imagine telling him with a grill. Oh my god. Oh my god.
He's like,
I'm dripped out, baby. I'm dripped out.
He said he feels famous with all this jewelry on. She's like, well, look, I don't have a budget for all three, because she's treating him to these earrings. So she's like, I don't have a budget for all three, but we could do the earrings. And he just can't stop smiling. Yeah. And he said, like, okay, things have felt really good. And he's like looking at her in the mirror, like he's behind her, and they're looking at each other like, oh, look at how we look at how we look now with my earrings.
We met.
Right. And then he turns her around and he kisses her. So I was like, this was a date.
This was the date. This was the date I was talking about a few weeks ago. And I also think that jacket, like something about that jacket, that style jacket on men, very flattering. Very, very flattering.
Yeah, man.
I don't know what you call those jackets, but
what a difference a bang makes,
a bang.
They were just so booed up. Like he had his arms around her, behind her, like you see one of those like glamour photos. Like,
yes,
they got it all right now. They got it all.
They were on cloud 9. She was
happy.
happy.
Break a couple, that's for sure.
It's just such a flip, right? Because like last episode, they're like, oh, we have these identity issues, and we don't know how we're going to get past them. And it's like, no, we just needed to get closer, have more affection, and like, right. Seemingly, we're just all good right now.
And I mean, for those who have watched After Party, he has worn those earrings, so it could be just a situation he's kept the earrings. Or I mean, because they were a gift.
Now, see, it's interesting, right? Because last season, when Michael told Chloe, maybe I could wear some of your jewelry, she was like, oh, what? You want to wear earrings? Are you a woman? And now it's just like, all good now with Thomas and Camille. Like, yeah, get some earrings. Let's go.
She had him at everything. I thought she was about to say, like, I don't even know. But
anyway, budget, yeah. Y'all buy this?
Please help. I need him in all of this. So that was it for Thomas and Camille. Nothing looked too surprising. Next week on the next time on, I didn't notice anything alarming.
He got her some jewelry or something. He got her like a necklace or something.
And they were hooping.
Did you see they were hooping.
Yeah.
Yes, they were hooping. So every week we rate 1 through 5. 1 being we think they won't be together by the reunion. 5 being we think they will. Where are y'all at with your ratings?
It's a stone cold 5. They're in the penthouse apartment. They're ready. They're in the 5 club. They're in the boring 5 club, situation. Because thinking of the little amount of footage we got from them in this season on in the negative department,
yes,
we've used all that footage.
They've exhausted it.
That's done. So like I feel like here on out it's just smooth skies. I don't see really any big speed bumps coming their way.
Yeah, agree. Hard 5. I remember when we first saw this season on, we didn't get like anything from them. And I was like, oh God. And I panicked. I went into panic mode. But I'm happy for them. It's gonna be a nice ride to see them like continue to progress, because the rest of the field is looking janky.
Oh, absolutely.
Look, listen, I'm glad Thomas and Camille are here to satisfy y'all's love component of the season, so that we can get to mess and not feel that bad because you have one good couple. Now we can just enjoy the mess of the other 4.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm a 5. I have moved up. I think I'll be a solid 5, because literally the only concern was that she was like, well, he doesn't have swag. That's behind us. Mm-hmm. He got the earrings now. He has swag.
We're gonna put the chain on layaway. We're gonna come back and get that at some point.
Not the really big one was just too much. But I like the second one. Yeah,
he could graduate to it, but don't start.
Spend that on a house. He said it was $660,000. That chain, I believe, the jeweler guy.
Crazy.
I don't think he said that.
Yeah, the big one, the really big one, the first one he put on.
$660,000. I don't think that's what he said.
I'm pretty sure that's what he said.
They weren't at Claire's.
No, they were at BBS Kings. Yes, BBS Kings. Yes, I googled a whole bunch of the shops.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to our next couple.
We're gonna go to David and Michelle. We see David. He's like, we're getting off work. I'm gonna go get my eyebrows done with Michelle. I'm gonna go eyebrow it up. And so I didn't know what this was exactly. I was like, okay, where are we going? What are we doing? So we go to a brow shop with apparently her friend, who is the brow stylist.
Her
Mari,
friend? Yes.
You gotta look.
I do, because what does it say about Michelle where like her closest contacts and relationships are people who work for her?
Or people who work for her and with her. Like, those are only friends.
Service people, because this was real weird.
It's because all we've seen from her are like her sisters and now her brow lady.
And her brow lady. Yeah. We didn't see the dog walker, but that's her longest. Her and the dog walker and the brow lady are like the longest relationship she has.
Yeah,
9 years with the dog walker and 13 years with the brow lady.
And it's one thing to be like, oh, this is my friend who I support by getting services from them. But like 13 years ago, she was 25. That's probably when she started to get her brows like committed to a person.
Yeah.
It feels like it's someone she met when she because Michelle passed herself off as like, I'm just a lowly country mouse that came to the city and started had to work my way up to the corporate ladder. Just I was a poor little city mouse and had to work my way up in Chicago. So it just feels like these are friends that she made like when she first came to the city, and maybe they are the people that she met through services, like Mari said. I don't know. Like if you listen to Michelle tell it, she's got a bunch of friends, but it's just like I don't know.
Yeah.
So we're getting our brows done. I'm not someone that is like a big like. I looked at all their eyebrows, was like, I don't see any difference from what before.
I can tell his were way cleaner.
But I also don't think they were doing them while they were talking though.
Right. Yeah. I think she just simply cleaned it up. Yeah. Because there's a few different ways. Like you can get them waxed, you can get them threaded. I personally get mine threaded.
Me too. So
Yes.
when I have time, it's anyway.
Yeah.
But did you see when she was threading his eyebrows and she was just doing like this? I was like,
Mhm.
that's not. I was like, that's not how you do that.
Right.
That's not how
You
do
got to
that.
be back and like.
And then you gotta have the thing in the mouth.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so
Oh.
they're just doing
Not just saliva
doing
in
this
my
as they talk.
eyebrows.
No, it's a huge.
It's a long,
long thread.
yeah.
Oh,
And so they have to, yeah.
she didn't have
it's a
thread.
thing.
She had string that she was working with.
She had like a thing, like she had what is normally the threading, but without the long string. All I'm saying is she was faking while they were talking.
Yes.
And I think after the talk, she actually did clean them up.
Makes sense. You want to focus on what you're
Yeah.
doing and not try to give advice at the same time.
Yeah.
But JJ, what is this woman's name, obviously has no idea what Michelle's done. She's like, so what's going on? Like, do you guys live together? Like, what's up?
Super
Like,
close. Besties.
Yeah. JJ is one of my best friends who was not invited to the wedding, and we're now just getting to know. It's like, okay, interesting. So JJ is telling Dave, she's like, yeah, because from what I know of Michelle, she's always very positive, and everyone just starts guffawing, like, because that's funny. Because Michelle was like, ooh, that's tough because I have not been positive like throughout any of this. And she basically tells her, yeah, I have not been positive to this, so he's surprised about that. And Dave's like, I can tell when she's in her comfort zone. Like, she has a real glow to her when she's in situations like this that are comfortable to her, that she knows. So she kind of has a different demeanor when she's in these type of situations. And JJ says, yeah, it takes a while for her to open up to people, but when she does, she's a breath of fresh air. I'm like, I'm waiting for that fresh air. We're like, we're almost halfway through this thing. I ain't seen no fresh air yet, so let me see it. Yeah, JJ's asking if David, like, have you gotten her to open up yet? He's like, no, not really. She has these walls, and he's working on peeling the layers back. And he says he just wants this is David's like mantra. He's like, I want someone loyal, respective, and positive. Like, that's the whole thing he's just been saying. Michelle has not yet been that. JJ tells him just take it day by day. They ask about their lifestyles. David says he's more active. He's like, that's kind of what he likes to do. He says, I'm in a dart league, I'm in a bowling league, I'm in a whatever league, I'm in this and that. And JJ's like, Michelle, weren't you in a kickball league? She's like, 12 years ago.
Because look, this is the relationship. Michelle goes to get her eyebrows done. They talk about whatever is going on at the time. So then each time they continue conversation, she gets her eyebrows done however often, right? So now it's like, oh, wow, I've known this person 13 years. We've talked about so much about my life. When it's just like, I'm sure she just remembers if they're not like real life friends. Yeah. Like, oh, didn't we talk about that one thing one time?
Yeah. Yeah, Michelle's just like, we've had so many heavy conversations. We need to try and really focus on the fun. And JJ tells David, yeah, you really got to kind of push her to have fun. Just sounds like Michelle's always been a little bit of a downer. I don't know. JJ gives David the seal of approval. It's like, yeah, you sound like a good guy. In a confessional, David says, it's great to hear that Michelle is open to doing more things, and hopefully that can get them more bonded. And like I said, when they left, I was like, I really don't see any difference. But y'all are just like, yeah, totally. They got their brows done. We can see it. I don't know. But that was the brow date. I didn't really get much of anything from that. I was just like,
really,
okay,
you know what it was? Michelle needed to get her brows done, and she needed a reason to like, I knew she was seen with David, so he should come.
She's like, yeah, my great friend JJ, the brow artist. Like, if we go during production, will y'all pay for it? I was watching this with my wife, and I was like, man, it seems like you don't really do a lot. Like, what did she probably pay? She probably charges like $30. My wife was like, $30? No. She's like, probably more like 60 or 70. I was like, really? Like,
mine are cheap. Mine are only 15.
Oh, what?
Maybe
my wife's overcharged.
Yeah, it was a good find, but I won't shout them out.
We need paid sponsorships. Don't give it away for free, Aysha.
Exactly. Next time you go, be like, I can shout you out on my podcast for free brows.
Yes.
The next scene that we get with David and Michelle, we're going bowling with a couple of David's friends, the two Toms, Tom and Tommy. So again, the friends ask, like, so Michelle, what do you do for a fun time? Michelle's like, oh, I go to concerts and restaurants. You know, I'm not a big like sport activity person, which you know, honestly is probably something the expert should have thought of. What, because when Michelle talks about lifestyle, I think this is what she's talking about. Like the activities she likes to do versus the activities that David likes to do. David is more of a active lifestyle person, and Michelle's more of a like a social kind of like not
uppity,
active.
Yeah.
Oh, she's uppity. So, okay.
I mean, I eat sushi at fancy restaurants, lady. That's what she gives off to me.
Yeah. So we're doing the bowling, and then we kind of sit down and have another talk. So they're like, so what do you think of David? Michelle says, I know that David is thoughtful and kind, so I'm liking that side of him. The friend says, you know, it's about give and take, and he asks, so I mean, when you came into this, how open-minded were you? She says, I came in open-minded, but then I heard some things about lifestyle and living situation that really turned me off and really holding me back. I'm like, so you're not open-minded is what you're saying. like you didn't come in open-minded because you shut your mind as soon as you heard one bad thing.
Yeah.
And she talks about David, and you know, she's like, and one of the things that really kind of bugs me is, you know, his cussing. She talks about how, you know, he was cussing in front of her mother, and she's like, I don't know if I can really bring him to any like work events and have him like acting that way. In a confessional, David says, you know, that really makes him frustrated because it's something they've talked about, and like he knows that if he's in situations he does, it's something he can fix and change. He says he kind of feels like a punching bag like in this moment, and she doesn't get what he's trying to do. She doesn't get that he can be to the place where she wants him to be. She says she's trying, but she's feeling shut down. It's not a natural feeling. This isn't natural to her. She just kind of needs to open up. Listen, David's friends from last episode and this episode, they are really sticking up for their guy. They're like, listen, this sounds like your expectation is sky high. You're looking for the perfect guy, but he doesn't exist.
Can I just say that you are a reflection of the company that you keep? I think with how great his friends are, that just shows how solid of a guy David is.
Yeah.
And she just doesn't see that.
Does not at all.
She just doesn't care.
No. Yeah, and the friend's like, yeah, that perfect guy is not out there. Like, you need to pick some important things and go from there. Like, no one's gonna have it all. And the friend's like, so for you, what is important? Michelle says, you know, happiness, love, and family, they're all important to me. And David has all that. Just like, all right, so what is the problem? the friend's like, well, listen, David is a great guy. You should be head over heels for him right now, but you're just not there yet. And David for his part says, listen, I could snap a finger and have all the things she's talking about as far as the house, the whatever. So that part shouldn't even be that big of a worry. We get a David confessional. He says, all the things that I have to offer are the things that she's looking for, but she's hung up on this lifestyle piece of it. She can't look past that and see these other things that I can bring to the table. One of his friends asked her, so do you think your expectations are unrealistic? Because they might be. Okay, great.
What blows my mind, obviously we have so many examples of couples from past seasons. Even on this season, Michelle could have gotten the most stubborn guy. Like, the fact that the stuff she's harping on could be valid if David was being stubborn. If David was like, look, no, the way I live now is how I want to continue to live it. So it's kind of like, you got to adjust. Or there have been husbands like that, but David is not doing that. And it's so annoying that she's trying to paint this picture as if that's how he's being, when it's like, look, listen to what he's saying. He literally said last episode he wanted to get sushi again because you introduced him to sushi.
She's not seeing it. She's all about the bank account. She's all about what this other person can offer her. She's not about like trying to mesh lifestyles. She's wanted this perfect. She kind of wanted. I think she wanted like a finance bro that already had all of his stuff together.
That's what she was open-minded about.
Yeah, that's what she was looking for.
What up, Allan?
Right. But I think Allan might be a little too quirky for her. I don't know. But anyway.
She likes to laugh.
It won't matter. He has money. Like,
yeah, that's what she's after. Apparently.
So, yeah, because I'm really trying to sit here like do we know David has 2 jobs, but we just don't. Do we know what they are? Like,
he's a foreman for some construction, I think, and he's
Okay.
also being like a social worker. So maybe he's doing the social worker part time. I don't know.
Okay.
Like I wish they would give us more of a really kind of
Yeah.
dive into that a little more, but they haven't really. I think that's what they said.
We
in the
haven't gotten
message.
to the finances episode yet.
Yeah.
We gotta wait till the finances.
He's not Michael from season 10, and he's not Tommy from Martin. And that's how she's trying to blame him.
Oh man.
You know. So but that makes sense. Him being a foreman for a construction when she says later on, like, oh, the blue collar, I don't want to live blue collar. Like, oh, so you have a bias. You think you are better than those people. Got you.
She doesn't want to go back. When she keeps saying that, I don't want to go back to that. She feels like she's backpedaling, so she feels like she is in a way better position rather than seeing. We'll get into it with the Dr. P one-on-one, but rather than seeing that the quality of life is not dependent on the type of job you have.
Yeah, type of job.
Exactly. So we do get that Dr. Pia one-on-one. It's just Pia and Michelle, because Michelle says she needs a one-on-one Dr. Pia to kind of talk this stuff out. In confessional, Michelle says talking to David's friends made her realize that their lifestyles are very different, but she does want to keep moving forward, but she's really getting caught up in the negative stuff. She can't get over, like, when she talks to Pia, she says, I just can't get over the fact that I feel like I would be settling if I stayed with David. She says he lives in such a small bubble. She says it reminds me of where I grew up, and that's not the life I'm envisioning for myself. It would feel like I'm taking a step back. Pia says, listen, you're not acknowledging the fact that your feelings are not fact. She says, can you get that? Michelle's like, no, I don't get it. She says, Pia goes like, okay, so why? Like, why can't you get that? Michelle just says, I just feel like that would be the reality if we kept living this way, that I would be taking a step back to my former life where I didn't feel like I had enough. Pia says, listen, you're just kind of really looking at the superficial, and that is not what life is really all about. Michelle says, yeah, but when I was younger, I didn't have those things, so I want them now. Pia says, well, you want those things because you feel like it would have made your life easier in the past, and you want to keep that momentum going. Michelle says, I enjoy all the things money provides, and I want to continue that. Pia says, who is saying that you can't? Like,
Right.
like no one here is saying that David's going to drag you to the point.
Yeah.
Right. No one says you have to live in a shack with David. No one is saying that. Like, David's not saying that. No one here is saying that but you.
Yes.
Pia says, like, so tell me a little bit about how you got to where you are today. Michelle says, I just moved out of from my small town. I came here with nothing. I bartended and kind of figured it out by networking. Pia says, okay, so let's have a scenario. What if your friends, when you came from your small town, humble beginnings, treated you the way you're treating David? Like, oh, she's from a small town, I don't want to get to know her. And Pia says, you're someone that could expose David to the type of lifestyle you're talking about. Pia says, I'd be with you if David was someone that was refusing to experience new things, refusing to be open, but he's someone that is open to new things. He's open to trying this lifestyle of yours you're talking about. Michelle, she just can't get it. She says, Michelle goes, yeah, okay, I get that. But he has this persona about, ooh, I want to provide for my wife. And it's like, and Pia's like, so you don't think he can do that? Like, what do you mean when you say provide? Michelle's like, money, right? Like, what else could he be talking about? And Pia's mind is blown. She's like,
mine too. What?
Pia's like, what do you mean? She's like, any other thing but money, like emotional support, just general support. Like,
like general support.
No, she's like,
being there for you.
I need you to
propping
tell
up
me
your dreams.
Yeah.
Michelle was literally like, I need to understand what you mean other than money, because I have no idea.
Literally,
I don't know.
She's sitting there with her mouth open, like, huh? There are other things besides money?
Girl. Oh my God, I could not believe that.
Pia says,
I could not believe that.
Pia says, listen, David is doing things for you that money can't buy. It's about safety. It's about security. He is still here doing the work, showing you that he wants this, that he's willing to do this for you. And that's something money can't buy. Pia says, your feelings are based in lies, not in facts. Yep. Says, let's work on giving this a real chance. Pia again says, money can't buy safety and security. You have that in David until he cheats on you.
and then wait, what? Why would you say that, Jason? Anyways, and she's like, this feeds into anxiety. As a generalized anxiety girly myself, you cannot, like, you have to ground yourself in what is in fact reality and what is going on around you. Imagining a million different scenarios where all of a sudden y'all are living in a homeless shelter just does not make sense.
Yeah.
It factually, like Pia said, does not make sense, because David's not going to come and drag you out of your job. Like, he's not going to drag you out of that simple ass apartment you have. Like, she's like, what are you worried about?
She's future panicking, and like,
yeah.
And it's like, okay, y'all are already married, so you might as well just, like, either way you're going to get a divorce. So you might as well just see if this can work out. It's not like you're determining whether you should get married. You're already married. So, like, let it ride, see how it goes, and then get divorced later if you want. But you're already not giving this a chance.
But to me, it comes back to, like, she's not saying what she's really saying, and I think Pia says it. She says it right here. It's like, what she's really saying is she looks down on people like David. She looks down on the people who she used to be. It's essentially that. She looks down on the people who live how she used to live. She now needs to look down on those people so she can feel more secure, more high and mighty. Like, that blue collar job thing, like, when she said blue collar and we connected the dots about what David's job is, she really she said, I feel like I'm settling. And the moment she said that she feels like she's settling, honestly, they should just stop the experiment.
It's a wrap.
Nobody deserves to be with somebody who says they feel like, well, like they're settling. And at that point, she's just kind of like, why are y'all trying to force me to be with this man? You know, it just, I hate this. I dislike Michelle so much. Like, girl, and it's just because of this aura thing. Like, I need you to really speak to somebody. But then seeing how she deals with Dr. Pia, I don't know if therapy can help. She would have to get some therapy that she'll actually, like, she doesn't retain anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hope she watches this and
like some self-reflection.
Yes, because like you really should examine why money is such a big deal for you. And, you know, we know that it's tied to her childhood, but girl, you, like, thinking that like men can only provide for you financially, that we miss some steps somewhere. Like, we really miss some steps.
I mean, and honestly, that's kind of, I mean, and there are men that believe that as well.
Yeah.
We will get to that on this particular season. But I, like, when you said, like, you hate this, I hate this for him so much, because it's kind of like he is committed to this experiment at this point, right? But if we go back to the bowling, the reason why it seems like he's, like, feeling like a punching bag is because she's finally saying the quiet part out loud. She's finally saying the stuff she's been saying in confessionals in front of his friends, in front of him. So now it's kind of like, he's like, dang, I didn't know she has been feeling this way. And if he knew that, he could have been checked out of the experiment sooner. They could have, like, just cut it sooner than this.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, at first I thought that this was going to be our only time with Pia for these two, and I was like, oh, that kind of sucks that David won't get his opportunity to be here with her. But we do get the traditional Pia with both of them. So Pia comes in, she's like, all right, so how are things going? She's already talked to Michelle. David says, you know, things are going in a better direction. They're talking more. They're being more open. Michelle says things are chill, even though they don't spend a lot of time together due to work schedules. Now, I will say, like, why would David sign up for this when he knows he has a weird work schedule? That part for me is just like, that does not foster a good start when you don't have enough time to spend with each other. But it's not like Michelle wants to spend time with him anyway, so I guess a moot point.
To make time if you want to.
Yeah.
So Pia says, you know,
he's spending plenty of time in the morning with Madison.
Yeah, he spent time with Madison. That could be Michelle, but she's playing. Pia says, you guys have, you guys, as in Michelle, have been asking us why you were matched. She says, maybe it would be good to see what you guys said in the past. So we're going to bring some receipts. I mean, clips for y'all to look at. All right, we're going to show you a clip about attraction, about what you find attractive. This was all in the kind of pre-selection workshops I did to kind of start the matching process. David says what's attractive to him is someone that is funny, caring, independent, strong, beautiful, smart, educated, and honest. Basically, every good characteristic you can think of, you threw it in there. For Michelle's part, she says she's a guy with an edge. She says she wants someone with a beard, a tattoo sleeve, passionate about family, lights up a room, funny, can carry conversations. They ask questions. They walk in and they just exude confidence. Notice nowhere in there did she say anything about money, first of all. And, when we hear all these, we're just like, check. For David.
Comment, David.
Yeah. And so Pia says, so Michelle, do you think that describes David? And Michelle, you can tell she is just biting her lip, she's like, yeah, guess so. Guess those things describe him. And Michelle's like, I really don't like where this is going. It's making me a little uncomfortable. Pia's like, oh, what do you mean?
Accountability to the words that you said.
Why are you uncomfortable?
Yeah, you're missing a little bit of edge there, because she was over it immediately. Like Michelle was like, I know where you're going with this, but okay, sure. Yeah.
And Pia's like, no, what's the problem? And Michelle's just like, I'm just getting uncomfortable. So Pia tells David, all right, can you scram for a second so I can talk to Michelle? So she can say what she really wants to say without you being here. So we get David out of the room. Michelle says, well, it just feels like I'm being called out. I'm just like, Pia asks, why are you annoyed? Why do you feel that way? And Michelle's just like, Michelle has more she wants to say, but she's not willing to say it on camera. She's just like, I just can't explain it. I just can't explain what I'm feeling. Michelle says, we just have no connection. Pia's like, well, because you won't give yourself the opportunity to have a connection. You are the bad guy here. You are the one that's not giving the opportunity. He has the qualities you want, but you aren't giving it a chance. I like Pia just plainly saying what the problem is. That's what it is. She's not willing to even open up for a second to let this be a thing.
Yeah, I agree. And you would think, I would have thought that seeing these tapes should have helped. I agree why Pia thought this would help. It's supposed to bridge the gap into reminding you what you asked for. It's not supposed to be a call out, you know what I'm saying? But it works in both instances. Because Pia's basically like, girl, we gave you what you asked for. You weren't more specific. So
this was for Michelle, and this was for the audience.
Yep.
It's like, listen, y'all, I know y'all are out there talking about us matching these two people. They don't belong together, blah, blah, blah. But this man is what she asked for. We gave her what she wanted, and now she don't want it. So don't look at us cross-eyed, because she did not tell us she wanted a finance bro. Okay? That's not what she said.
She said a beard, a sleeve, and I feel like this just annoyed David even more, because that's exactly me.
I wish Pia had a pointer where she's like, shh. She's like, beard, sleeve. Look
David,
at this
stand
man.
up.
Yeah.
Lights up a room when he walks in. Look at this man.
Look at his smile. Oh man. So Pia says, so what is the real issue here? Because it has to be more than the financial piece. She says you have to be honest with yourself and with him. He is what you asked for. She says, how do you think you're going to get chemistry if you don't give it a chance? If you don't give more than what you're giving now? In a confessional, Michelle says she knows she's stuck on finances and lifestyle, and that's making her push him away. She does need to work on expressing her feelings more, but it's hard to do that. David comes back in, and Pia says, so share why your values and goals are important. Michelle says, she has big goals. She has lived a simple life, and she does not want to go back to that. David for his part says, this is kind of eye-opening. He says, when he says simple, he's not meaning a meager lifestyle. He just means an easygoing type of lifestyle. He's not trying. Right. He's not trying to drag Michelle to the poorhouse. He just wants to be comfortable, and he wants to have a nice life. David says, listen, I know you've worked hard. Like, I don't want to take that from you at all. And that's not what I'm here to do. Pia says they're not speaking the same language right now. They can't hear each other. And they're saying, Michelle's holding back. They want Michelle to see what the experts saw in David and why they fell in love with David. Pia says he's not looking to hold you back or change you. You can have it all with him. Like if you let him in, if you do the work, open up and start giving him a chance. Honestly, I feel like all of this is just falling on deaf ears for Michelle because she can't see past this. She can't see.
She might as well have been doing this.
With their hands.
Yes.
Yeah, because she can only see the bank account. I do wonder if we've had that talk of like, all right, what's in your bank? What's in my bank? Because we don't really get those episodes dedicated to that anymore. It just kind of feels like we may get it, we may not. So I do wonder if she's had that conversation. Like there was a post in the Facebook group this week of like, would it be rude of Michelle to ask David like, what's in your bank account? I think you can have that conversation without being that like forward. I think you can have that conversation.
You could. I mean, and that's the finance episode, right? Like you do have that conversation to kind of see like where are you in a position? Because I think it was it Noy and Steve when we were kind of like where
and Steve was being cryptic about how much money he had and like what he could afford. And all season we were begging them just to pull up your bank account and show her like you have money, because he kept saying like he's good, he has money. She just would not believe him. And all season we were like just pull up the bank account and show her like and be done with this. So I would be curious to see like if that conversation happens of like, look, I'm good. I'm solid. Like if I wanted to move out of my parents' house, I would be able to. I have that ability. I just don't know if she sees it right now at all. And listen, that's not even to say that David even is in that position. He kind of says he is, but is he really? Is he to her standard? We don't know.
I don't think there isn't anything that would make her his standard. Make him her standard.
I agree.
He just has to be a different person at this point. There's not enough time in this experiment to kind of reshape her perspective on him.
Right. And honestly, at this point, he should just give up. I mean, because she just so rude to him. Sometimes.
I think she kind of wants someone that doesn't really exist. Right. She wants someone that's probably a high executive in a finance company or something,
who's a light-skinned black man.
Maybe, making Asia level bank, like, but then also on the weekends has this tattoo sleeve and this beard and this edge to him that she's talking about. Like, I don't know if a lot of those people are even really out there. So I don't know. It seems like she's looking for something that doesn't really exist.
Yeah, and those people, like lying to the experts. I think here she lied to get onto this show.
Yeah, and those people that are out there, they're not part of Married at First Sight.
Checking for her.
Yeah.
Yep. Like no. Yeah. I don't think she like. I think she's lying to herself a lot, which lied to the experts. Which, like we say all the time. Like some people don't want to be like, this is a deal breaker to me because they don't want to end up on the not being chosen. But girl, you need to tell us what your actual deal breakers are. Like if finances are your actual deal breaker, which clearly it is, then you should have said that during the process.
But that involves being honest with yourself.
Exactly.
Which I don't think she wants to do. And at 38, that's going to be very difficult to kind of just be like, wait, let's restructure this. Let's start looking at things differently.
Exactly.
No, and she just needs to be honest with herself. Like, that's what you're looking for. Somebody who is very successful financially. That's what you prioritize in a relationship in terms of how he can provide for you. So that's what you need to be looking for. And that's what she should have been honest about. Because I mean, they gave you, when they showed us, I said they gave her exactly what she asked for. And now she mad because she's like, why you holding me to my words?
Right.
He's like, yeah, but he doesn't make enough money though. Like, you gave me everything.
He looks like that, but what does his bank account look like?
Yeah. So I think we're all on the same page of they're in the one club.
Oh, for sure.
Boy, the one club is packed right now.
It's popping.
Yeah, it's popping in there. But yeah, so that's where we're at with them, with David and Michelle. Where are we going next?
All right. Next up, let's talk about Carla and Juan, who they seem kind of like what's going on here? A lost cause.
So it feels like we have Thomas and Camille, right? And then all four of our other couples are just so mismatched in terms of what they want out of affection, what they want out of a marriage, what they think is acceptable in a marriage. It just seems so incredibly mismatched for everyone else.
But Juan and Carla, I'm so confused where it went wrong with them, because like I can see, like, for them, like on paper, I can definitely see why they were matched. Like, but I'm wondering if with them it truly is just they had no spark, you know?
I mean, Juan doesn't seem to even want to like strike a flint to get a spark. It's like,
Yeah, you're like, here's the flint. He's like,
what I need with
forget
that?
about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want it to materialize.
And it's just so weird because it's like it's like two like very conventionally attractive people. So you're kind of you're sitting here like, why are you guys not attracted to each other?
Right.
Well, it feels like Carla is attracted to Juan. It just seems like Juan just has no desire whatsoever to even get attraction with Carla.
Yeah. So we start out with him riding his bike, just an easy 30 miles he's doing in the morning.
I was like, what? 30 miles? Like, I had to rewind to like 30? 30?
He's just going around Chicago like multiple times. Like, what is happening? Like, where are you biking?
Are you preparing for something?
Yeah.
He says he just likes to do this on the weekends. He does that for 2 hours and then he comes home. And she just woke up and we find out it's like 1 p.m. And so he's like, well, I've been, you know, up for all this time and Carla's just now waking up.
That's that lifestyle mismatch you're talking about.
Yeah.
There you go.
So they are eating lunch. They're like at a restaurant and, you know, we're just like, it's just a casual date, I guess. And she's like, oh, can you put your sauce in the middle so we could share it, whatever. And she's like, I want to share more about like myself and my past with you. So I was like, okay, intentional conversation.
Yep.
And so she goes on to explain, like, hey, I come from a big Mexican family. Both of my parents are immigrants and we all have a great relationship with each other, but we do lack communication on like really deep stuff and we don't know how to express our feelings and we always express things like with anger. And so she feels like that's where the lack of communication comes from on her part. And she, you know, like growing up, she didn't really have hugging and kissing and they didn't really tell each other they loved each other. And so she didn't really learn how to be like physically affectionate with others until later on in life. And so what she finds is like if she's not getting that or not, you know, I guess embracing the affection, and she feels like she can fall back into those patterns of poor communicating that she had when she was growing up. So she explains this, which is really good in giving context to why she is the way she is now. I feel like it perfectly explains it. And so she's like, do you get why I want more affection now? Like, does that make sense for you? He's like, I do hear you. I see how it is a big deal for you. I'm listening. I just haven't gotten there yet. And I'm working towards that.
He just feels really stubborn. He just feels like she just poured her heart out to this man. And he's just like, yeah, okay. If I get there, I get there. Like he doesn't take this in and is like, well, let me show more effort. Let me show more intentionality in giving her what she needs. Yeah. He's still just like, well, if I get there, I get there. And if I don't, I don't. Yeah. And it's just like, you know, hearing that from her should spark him to be like, okay, I need to give more, even if it's not my thing. Maybe I need to make it more so that she is more comfortable so we can move this forward.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, Carla, look at you being deep, exposing yourself, all of that. And then Juan was like, okay, but no thanks. And I'm like, Okay, he didn't say that, but that was what I felt like he said. He basically was like,
Right.
sure. But also,
yeah.
no. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God. She did such good self-reflection and saying why she is what she is, answering why she gets so passive aggressive.
Yep.
And what you could do to mitigate that passive aggressiveness. And he was just like, okay.
He basically was like, that's you. But you can't expect that from me.
Yeah, and this is what we asked for, right? We asked people to be open and communicate without an expert sitting there making you communicate.
Yes.
This is almost like what someone would say if an expert was there asking you the right questions. She's doing it herself, and he's just not responding. He's just like, cool. Like,
yeah.
Awesome. That's good for you. That's awesome for you. That's not really my thing. Like,
right.
Like, okay. So you're just not willing to try. Like, you're not willing to step out of your comfort zone whatsoever.
Right. I mean, because name a time he has self-reflected on his past and tried to like adjust for this relationship. I don't feel like there's been any movement on his part.
Yeah.
It's like, how's she going to fit into how I am right now?
Yep. You called that, Aysha. Yeah. Oh, wait, Jason. One of y'all called that.
I definitely called it.
Yes.
It was me, yeah.
I don't even remember what you're talking about, but I definitely called it.
Oh my God. That he was very structured and he wanted somebody to just fit into his when we were talking about him with his living situation. Yeah, that was
because I wasn't on that episode. Okay, that's the only
with the hammock and all
that. Points to me. Points to me.
I win. So he says she's just gonna have to be patient, and she says, look, if I'm important to you, you're gonna make the effort, and actions speak louder than words.
That's right. 100%. And he's just like, well, you're not that important to me, so
yeah.
I
just have to commend Carla for even just explaining this in the first place, because it really showed that she did some self-reflection, because she's not just like walking around with this explanation in her back pocket. Like, she has had to understand her communication skills in the context of this relationship and feel the need to explain it to him so that they can get in a better place. But he's just not listening. So Dr. Pia meets them at a coffee shop, which I thought was interesting. Like, why she didn't come over?
Yeah, we met out like a couple different people. I was like, is there a reason why we can't? Like, it's so odd. He was like, I just want to switch it up a little bit.
Right. So she asked, like, how's married life? Carla says it's been an adjustment, like getting to know someone. And Dr. Pia says, like, okay, what have y'all learned? And Juan was like, well, we've learned about each other's families. It's like, okay, recency bias.
That's week one stuff. Like, what do you? That's it. That's where we're going. Y'all told each other about your families.
So Dr. P was like, okay, so he hasn't met your parents, right? And she's like, well, introducing someone to her father, that's like, there's a huge respect factor with that. So she feels like once she knows him on a deeper level, then she can introduce him to her father and be like, hey, I'm proud to be introducing him to you.
Yeah, because we heard like early in the season how that relationship is with her father, and if she's going to bring someone around her father, it's got to be the one, because that's like how she grew up.
Yes. And so Dr. P is like, okay, well, what's that like for you, Juan, that you haven't met her parents? And he's like, oh, I respect her speed. And Dr. P is like, does this feel like a marriage? And Juan's like, well, we're in it. I don't know what it's supposed to be like, because I haven't been in a marriage before.
Yeah.
And Carla finally, with some like real answer, was like, it doesn't feel like a romantic relationship. She's like, I try to initiate cuddles and kisses, and he just says he's not there yet.
Yeah, which is, it feels so weird. Like, did I miss something? Because I feel like the last time I was here, at least, when we talked, like, it was like Carla's like, oh, Juan plays too much. Like it kind of felt like maybe some coldness coming from her end. And now it's like the script has been flipped. So I'm so confused.
It's kind of like he was playing too much as like Like, not that he was uncomfortable, but it was like, okay, that's a default because there's no romance for me here.
Yeah,
Which
just kind of joking around like buddies is what he was
yes.
doing, like a ton of corny dad jokes or whatever. But it
And
feels
now
like
he's just like done with that.
well, that might still be going on, but it feels like Carla's ready to get this moving in a different direction, and
Right.
Juan is just still stuck in second gear. He just can't get himself to go past that for whatever reason. He's not very specific on his reason. He's just like, yeah, just don't feel it. I hate those kind of like really bland, vague answers. Like, oh, I don't know. It's like, no, like, you gotta give me something else.
Yeah.
It almost like first, it almost makes you wonder if it's like well, first I feel like it can still go either two ways, because like at least they haven't said anything that you can't come back from, like David and Michelle, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, okay, yeah, it's bland and it's whatever, but maybe they might be able to turn a corner, like a Kirsten and Shaq almost. Even though, I mean, anyways, but like but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also it's almost like it makes you wonder if it's something like off camera that is like, you know, that is turning him off, that he doesn't want to say, you know.
I'm not even sure if it doesn't even sound like he's turned off. It just sounds like no one ever bothered to turn him on. Like it's not
like he's not motivated, like he's not
it's not if something happened. It's just he's just at the ground level and nothing has happened to really get him past that or whatever. And I feel like it feels odd to me, like, because I'm just like, okay, like we're 20 something days in at this point.
Yeah.
Like, you would think at this point there would be some sort of romantic feelings, even if it's just at a level of like, I'm comfortable with this person, she's hot, I want to do this. Like, we have been around each other for 20 something days, a lot of days, and she looks really good, so I'm down with it. Even to see if there's something that he can spark, right? Because there is a thing of like, okay, I'm not 100%. It's almost like a Thomas and Camille, right? When they did the deed, it kind of jump started things. We're not saying you gotta go jump in the sack to jumpstart things. Juan and Carla are not even at a makeout level, so maybe just get to the makeout level and see if that sparks something.
Yeah, again, a salsa date, a good dancing date for them would be perfect.
Yeah. So Dr. Pia asks, like, hey, Juan, like, why are you not there yet? He's like, I don't know. I just don't feel the chemistry. Like, I don't feel like it's comfortable for me to hold her hand or give her kisses. And he's like, maybe if I keep getting to know her, I'll eventually fall in love with the person that she is. But, you know, physical attraction is huge. And she's like, yeah, it is huge. He's like, I'm just not there yet. And she said, let me finish. And then Dr. Pia said, ooh, what was that spice?
Well, because throughout this whole thing, Juan is like over talking her a lot. Like, as she's talking, he's talking over her, and I think she just got tired of it. At a certain point, it was like, let me finish. And I don't know why Pia was like, ooh, so spicy. Like, no, Pia, did you not just see what we all saw? Like, he just kept over talking her. So yeah, she was she was through with it.
Yeah. And so I mean, I don't remember if she actually like explained like what the spice was. There was some miscommunication because they thought like Dr. P was referring to him or her or whatever. But he ends up saying like, she's a very beautiful girl. He just doesn't feel that chemistry. And so Dr. P was like, okay, what do y'all need from each other to get deeper? And Carla's like, she doesn't know what she needs, what exactly she needs, but she does realize she needs to feel seen and heard. She wants him to make plans with her, like start like incorporating her and the things that he's doing. And so Dr. P is like, yeah, y'all got to start looking at each other as a unit. And he's like, we do have a really good relationship. Like, we're on the same page a lot.
So and then it's like, so what's the problem? Is in my mind just like,
exactly.
So you're saying two different things here. You're like, you can't get to the physical attraction, but you have a great relationship. So I'm like,
yeah,
I have no idea what you're actually saying.
So confused.
Here.
Yeah, I mean, Carla does say she's like, maybe they could push themselves a little bit more, and but they're just doing the best that they can.
Juan's talking about chemistry, and it's like you have to do something to actually get a chemical reaction. You can't just stand there and look at the different variables and be like, do something. Like you have to do the work. You have to put together the chemicals and get something going. He's just looking at it like, all right, physical attraction, give it to me. Chemistry, I want it. Like you can't do it. You got to actually do the work. It doesn't feel like Juan is really doing any of the work. Maybe it comes from him being so busy, like a lot of our other cast members here, that he just can't find the time to work on the relationship. Which again is just like, so why did you come here first?
Bike 30 miles. Yes,
right. Like bike 15 miles, come back home, take a shower, get in bed, snuggle with Carla as she's sleeping, and maybe something will happen. I don't know. To me, it's just baffling where he's just like, I just have no physical chemistry or attraction to this beautiful woman over here. I'm just like,
I really feel like we're missing something, but whatever.
Yeah.
And they didn't get a fun game. They didn't get like anything that I think that could have really helped them.
Right. We did get one last scene with them. He was like making some chicken and vegetables, and so they're kind of getting into this. Seems like just like they're trying to help us understand more context for next week. But he asked her like when she started doing hair. She's like, she always did it as a child. She started doing other people's hair at 12, and then she really didn't try in high school because she knew she wanted to end up doing hair. She asked him about like his background, and he said he lived in Colombia, and then that's when the cartel was a really big deal. He moved to the U.S. when he was 7, and then he moved to specifically North Carolina, and then he was the only freshman on varsity who played soccer, or on the varsity soccer team. And she's telling him she graduated cosmetology school in June, graduated in July, and she started her own business 2 years ago, and so she started building her own clientele. And so he starts giving her advice on entrepreneurship, and he's like, you got to understand, like, you might have to give up some stuff. She's like, no, like, I know the position I'm in now, like, this is where I want to like fully pursue it. He's like, yeah, I just need you to know, like, as an entrepreneur, there's some sacrifices you have to make. He's like speaking to her like she's an apprentice.
This is really mansplaining.
Mansplaining entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneur-splaining to Carla.
Yeah. And so she does sound like the next step for her is to purchase a location for her business. And so we get a confessional from him saying like it's fulfilling being with someone who has ambition. He's like, her success is his success, and he wants to give her all the resources he can so she can accomplish her dream. But it did very much so seem like he's like, are you sure you're ready to own your business, sweetheart?
Are you sure, little girl? That's a big step to take, little girl.
It's a big deal.
My gosh. Like, bro, did you want a wife?
Doing your own business and stuff.
Like a big girl. Like, did you want a wife or did you want a business partner? Like, what's going on here? Like,
it was kind of odd. Because we do see on the next time on that she quits her job, which I'm thinking is that which job? Because she has three.
That's the sound bowls, maybe. I don't know, like which one.
This could be anything. This could definitely be a fake out, but he does have that confession of like, you know, you can be crazy, but don't be stupid.
Yeah.
Ooh, yikes! Those are fighting words.
Right. Yeah.
For real.
So
that's why he said in the confessional.
Yeah, that's why he said it to her face.
Yeah. So these two are weird. Because it's kind of like we don't really know where they went wrong or why he's feeling this way of like not having chemistry, or why he's not trying to get them, like why he's thinking chemistry is just going to happen rather than trying to put in work. But what are y'all thinking for ratings?
I'm hesitant to put them in the one club just yet. Because it is pretty crowded down there. I want to give them a little bit of hope, so I'm gonna keep them at a 2. I'm pretty sure I was at a 2 last time. I'll just leave them there, but it's not looking hopeful.
Okay,
I'm gonna bring them down to a 2 because I think the last time I rated them, I had them at a 3. So
okay,
yeah, it's not looking good. It's not looking good, but we'll see.
I'll maintain my 2 because Carla's still hopeful. And she seems like she's still trying to like get them to a place where this does actually work. But I think the moment she thinks that there's a lost cause, like he's not going to do enough to kind of win her back over or try to make sure it works. So, yeah.
It's rough.
Where are we headed next?
Let's go to Madison and Allan. Again, not a huge episode for them, but we do get a little more insight into stuff that took place last episode. So Madison has come back from the flag football game, and she kind of tells Allan, like, I was a little bummed that you didn't come out with us to the flag football game. He's like, well, last night after we went out after the housewarming, because we flash back to the housewarming, we say, hey, like this, it's boring in here. Let's go out to a bar. So apparently Madison, Allan, and their friends all went out to a bar, and Allan says, it didn't really feel like I was there with you. Like you weren't really interacting with me. You were interacting with your friends more than you were with me. And Allan says, and then you decided to, and I thought you left without me. So then I decided to leave without you because I didn't know where you went. Madison is like, I just went to the bathroom. I'm just like, I don't know. I was a little like, really? Did you really go to the bathroom, or did you deuce out? Did you leave? I don't know.
Maybe she didn't leave, but maybe she definitely was in a different part of the club and was like, "Ooh, got to get away from him for a minute."
Right.
Yeah, it almost feels like Madison does not want to be called out on camera. She's just like, I just went to the bathroom. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you mean. So he says that the him not going to the football game was kind of a little bit of retaliation for that. And Madison says, well, that's not good, because that's a little bit of a trigger for me, because I've gone through that before in different relationships. Mm-hmm. He says, I was kind of in my head at last night. I was, I felt like I was done trying when you were asking me to go to the football game, because I was so disheartened from the night before. He says, it doesn't come from anywhere. I don't feel like I did anything. I'm like, Allan, you just told us you did do something. So I don't know why you're
on
backtracking.
Purpose.
Yeah. All this while Luffy, I cannot take my eyes off of Luffy, constantly biting Allan's arm and just it's like this dog is thought he's to be trained. Puppy behavior, I guess.
Yeah. And can I just say, I think this is what we had thought. Madison just does not want to claim Allan out in the daytime. I can imagine them being at the club or the bar, and normally if you're at the club or the bar with your significant other, they're like, a little handhold, you don't have to be on each other the whole time, but acknowledgement that you are together. I don't think she wants to be seen on his arm,
right? Or is she just, sometimes it feels like for her, Allan is a little too much, and if there's an opportunity she can get away from Allan, she'll take it. Matt says, I understand, we were both drinking last night. You didn't feel like you were in you're in a space where you could talk to me about this. He says, yeah, I just didn't feel like the bar was an appropriate place to have this conversation. He says, and I didn't want to be a downer at the football game. So that's why I decided not to go. I was like, Allan, I don't know about that. It seems like you were 1, hungover, and 2, mad at Madison.
Yes.
So she's like, yeah, she says, I want to be honest with you. I want to be as honest as I can. I have been struggling throughout this. So that's where we leave that scene. We do see a diary cam of them. They tell us, we just had dinner. We talked a lot. Allan's like, I was a little emo the other night. He says, we're going to try and watch a movie, and we're going to try and get through it. I was like, this is a weird little diary cam update, but okay.
I know.
They're like, we got back on the same page of how we want to front in front of the cameras. So
yeah, I feel like
stay tuned for us faking it.
I don't feel like Allan's fronting. I feel like Madison is definitely fronting hardcore, big time. But yeah, we do get another diary cam of them on the way to see Dr. Pia. Allan says, I don't know what this visit with Dr. P is going to be, because, we're not doing and he literally makes a sign. He's like, we're not doing this. And it's like, all right, Allan, I can kind of see where some of these are turning Madison off a little bit. He's like, yeah, so I don't know what P is going to tell us to do. So they get in front of Pia. Pia says, so how's it going? They both just kind of say, it's been interesting. It's been going on. Madison tells Pia that their hurdle is really the romantic and the physical. She says, we get along otherwise. It's just stuff we're trying to work through with the compatibility angle. Pia basically says, we've gotten reports that you guys, when you went to a club the other night, you came together but left apart. Allan says that that he was upset that it seemed that Madison was ignoring him in the club. He says that's not his usual thing. Usually when he's in a relationship with somebody, he has these like signals of like, when you're going to get a drink, you come with me, you hold my hand, we go get the drink together, we do this thing, and there's like basic communication while they're together. He's that's what he's more used to. Madison says, well, maybe it's the difference is that I've been out of a relationship for a lot longer than Allan has, so I've become way more independent, and it's hard for me to really break those habits. So she says in past relationships she has had these issues with how much time she spends with friends and family, and it's upsetting for other people that how much time she spends with not her significant other. And Pia says, so it sounds like this has been a pattern in relationships for you in the past that you spend more time with other people besides your significant other. Pia says, so what do you need from Allan to prioritize Allan? Madison says, well, I could use more compliments. And Allan's just like, what do you mean? I've given you compliments a whole bunch. And Madison says, well, you just say that I look nice. She's like, I would like you to say I look beautiful. She said, you can say you look nice to anyone. I want a little more than that. I could definitely, and Allan for his part
That's
says,
a fair point.
Yeah, but Allan says, I wasn't sure like how that would be received if I said you looked sexy or something. Yeah. And it was just like, okay, but you had that's part of pushing those boundaries. That's a good boundary to push, right? Like if you say you look hot, you look sexy, and someone's like, whoa, we're not there.
Yeah, now
that's a boundary to push. Like it's not a physical boundary, it's just it's a verbal boundary. And so I kind of got what she was saying here. Like, he's tiptoeing, and you got to kind of gauge where you're at. But in his defense, he's just not getting much from her at all. So he has no idea where to go. Pia does tell them she has a fun game that might help them get to know each other a little better, and to also have fun while being in each other's physical space. And we come to find out that this game is basically Twister.
They can't say Twister, apparently.
They're not allowed to say the word Twister.
Clearly not allowed to say
the word Twister is trademarked. They keep saying it, talking about it's the game. We have to play this game that we've played before. It's not exactly this game.
With a twist.
Yeah, so the game, exactly. With a twister. But we're playing the game. So basically they pick questions out of it. This is the fishbowl activity on crack, right?
Yeah.
Like they have to pick a question, and it corresponds with a spot on the mat. So we get ready for the game, and like, all right, well, this is something I'm gonna be climbing all over you. Madison says, no, we are not gonna do that.
Absolutely not what we're doing.
That is not what this game is. So we get a lot of questions. Some of them are about sex. We get the favorite sex positions, how much foreplay each other likes. It's a lot of. Was there any of these questions here that really kind of spoke to you, or was interesting to you in any way? It was all kind of basic. It was just like, tell me how you feel, finish the sentence, blah, blah, blah.
The one about like what most attracted you to your partner, he's like, well, you're just pretty effing hot. That was like, we know how attracted he is to Madison, right? And I feel like she knows this too, this piece. But I think it's like, that's what she would hear from anyone. But I think it means different things. Like for Allan, he's like, I'm showing you how attracted I am to you. But that's something she would hear from a random match on Hinge.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also the rest of that, he said, and I'm attracted to your willingness to give me a chance. And her face, it was not facing him. It was like,
he's like, am I? And there was the one question was like, have you thought of your partner in a sexual way? Madison goes, yeah. And what she doesn't say is like, and then I threw up after I thought about it. Like
I said, "Ooh, never."
And how bad it would be, it was, yeah. And he was so taken aback by it. He was like, "Oh, okay." Like
he's like, "So you're saying there's a chance?" Like, no,
what about the question for him? Show us your best sex moan.
Oh boy. He says less of a moan, more of a heavy breathing. I was like, oh, that's.
And then when he starts
sexy.
doing it, he starts doing it, and then she's like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that was an ick.
Yeah, that was a big ick. I don't think that's gonna get it, my man. But yeah, it was interesting. He does say like he does get kind of genuine. He's like, you know, I think the question was, look at your person in your eyes and tell them how you feel about them. He says, I feel like you're the most amazing person I've met, and you know, I hope we both get where we want. And you know, he just feels like he really likes Madison, basically, is what he's saying. So I felt like this was a good way for him to compliment her in the ways that she's looking for, in a way. Because I mean, listen, the you're hot compliment, yes, anyone can say that, but it's more than you look nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. I mean that Madison and Allan really had a small segments this week, so they really didn't get much. It just really, to me, just feels like Madison is just playing out the season, and she's ready to wrap this thing up.
Yeah,
if you will.
Yeah,
I do
she's
think it's
phoning
interesting.
it in at this point. She's doing enough to stay like making it look like she's committed, but it's so clear that she is not into this marriage.
Yeah, I was thinking about the couple swap of it all. How we've long said we think it's David and Michelle and Madison and Allan. And I was thinking about the previews, and I was like, we never really saw Madison's side of that at all in regards to what the cheating thing is. So I'm interested to see how that plays out and where that plays out. But we're just waiting for the couple swap at this point, because especially for these other couples, you're like, all right, let's get to something good.
Well, again, I still think the cheating is different from the couple swap, and I think this next couple is the cheating scandal, and the couple swap is Allan, Madison, David, and Michelle.
Yeah,
and I understood that joke you made about David cheating on Michelle. I was like, why would you say that, Jay? Oh no,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So as far as ratings, I feel like this is they're partying in the one club hardcore.
Yeah. For sure. There's literally, and it's so sad too that we don't even have like much of a debate. Like we're just like, what's our score? It's so clear.
Yeah, like what is the overall podcast score?
We're averaging a 1.
Yeah, it's sad. But here we go. Let's go ahead and get into the main event.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Let's do it.
So MM and Ikechi. Yeah, so where we left off with them was the housewarming, where he didn't take too kindly to her friend Chrissy and her cousin asking him questions about, their marriage and stuff. He said he's in this for her, not for them. We start out with MM going to lunch with Tiffany and Chrissy. Tiffany is one of her friends, and Chrissy is her friend from the housewarming party. Chrissy's like, well, MM said Chrissy was at the housewarming party, and Chrissy was like, yeah. And he said that she was aggressive. And then he proceeded to describe everything that he thought was aggressive, and it was all just synonymous with being direct. And Tiffany was like, all right, I'm trying to find the words.
Tiffany's like, remember, I'm on camera. Remember, I'm in front of America. Watch what I'm saying.
This said what? She's she's trying to find the words. And it was like she's like, he keeps going back to like, we don't know each other. I ask him what he wants out of a marriage, because like we can't just keep talking about surface level things. And so Chrissy's like, yeah, and he says he just doesn't have the time. And Tiffany's like, look, that's just part of commitment. And MM says that he's in bed by 9. We try to have conversation, or I'll try to have conversations with him, and he'll say it's too late. And then Chrissy's like, yeah, he was even telling us like he's willing to compromise, but then he got defensive. She's like, I'm not trying to be in y'all's relationship, but I'm trying to show up. I'm trying to see that he is willing to show up for my friend. And right now I cannot say that he is. And MM says like, yeah, like I feel like he's not acting like we're together. He's acting like he's trying to see if we will be together. Which is a very interesting perspective, because it is like, I do feel like that he's acting like, let's see if we're gonna date.
And that's interesting, right? Because different people take this experience differently, right? Because yes, you all are married, but where does that fall in your rank of like, what is this really? What is the reality of this? Because to Ikechi, it seems like it's like, okay, yes, we're married, but we're literally in the beginning stages of dating, basically. So from his perspective, it's like, don't press up on me because we're just dating now. We're not married. And MM's like, we're married. Like, what is the problem? We're married this month. But no, like, we've literally known each other for 20-something days. Now, does he take that far afield of something within reality? Yes. But he does look at this as like, yes, you say we're married, but we're still just kind of getting to know each other.
Yeah.
Also, can I just say, this is diabolical. We're not having a conversation over a seafood boil. Could you imagine? You would not want to see me eating a seafood boil on camera. It would
just cracking and shucking,
just slurping.
The sound, the guttural sounds that this camera, they'd be like, we don't have to fix that in post.
They're like, Mari, please. I'm
like,
we can get the conversation first.
Like, I'm trying to eat.
But they did cut the conversation almost as soon as they put all the stuff on the table. We got all the gloves on. Like, all right, y'all cut that shit off because it's time to eat.
Exactly. And so they ask her, like, how is she going to move forward? And she says, like, she doesn't know because she doesn't want to be seen as aggressive. And so Christy was like, yeah, how do you build a foundation when you can't even be yourself? And she was like, yeah, I don't know what to come, what's to come. And so we're kind of getting the vibe in this moment that like it's all on him because she's in a position where she's like, I am trying, but it's being met with like a whatever I do try that's seen as aggressive to him. So now what do I do? How do I be myself? And so we get the infamous, she's on her phone. That's the recording that we're seeing.
The phone is on the table. She's like looking over the phone.
Yeah.
While she's recording.
Yeah. So she said last night, her and Ike went to dinner and things got a little testy. She asked him, what did he do to prepare for this marriage? He raised his voice at the restaurant. She like so much so that people nearby looked over at them and she had to say like, you're getting loud. We need to go. She's so confused how they went from being so happy and enjoying each other to him yelling in a restaurant. So she doesn't know what to do. So she does need the experts to come in because this is not healthy.
Yes. Meanwhile, we have not seen him on camera
at all.
No.
Yeah. So our first glimpse of him.
50 minutes in.
Yes.
50 minutes in.
Is so Dr. P is at the restaurant. Walks in by herself. She's not sure like what's going on. And he's like, okay. He comes in
as uninterested as you can, like just with his backpack on, like
backpack on, a beanie.
Where are you coming from? Exactly. What mountain did you just come sir? What are we doing here?
What wilderness exploit did you just show up from?
Exactly.
It's a fine line between like mountain and youth pastor. Like it's a super contemporary church. Oh no. He's like finding that is his swag.
Yeah.
And so he shows up by himself. He doesn't say, he's like, hey, to Dr. Pia. Doesn't
he comes in with a crabby attitude
already
off rip.
Yes.
Immediately.
Pia walks in, she's like, how are you? She's like, been a long day. She's like, will a hug help? She gives him a hug. He's like, perhaps. What?
He's in a mood.
Oh yeah.
He has a little temper right now. And so he doesn't even look at He walks right by her. He sits down. Like it's the chair next to her, but he has scooted it. So it's not really like you not sitting next to the person that's sitting next to you.
I feel like he put his bag in the chair in between them and then sat in the other chair.
He skipped a chair.
He literally skipped a chair.
And so Dr. P is like, you don't want to sit next to your wife? He said, I'm choosing to have a seat.
Bro.
Dr. P immediately. She said, what's with the attitude? Okay. He said, I don't have one. I'm just really tired.
In the most attitude-y way, he says, I don't have an attitude. That sentence you just spoke and the way you just
had an attitude.
Showed you have an attitude. So cut the crap, my guy.
Right. Cut it out. And so Dr. Pia, she's like, okay, what do you do to take care of yourself? He's like, I rest, I go to the gym, and I have a conversation with someone who picks me up. And Dr. Pia said, is that not MM? He said, it hasn't been. He's like, everything leads back to questions. And I just want to enjoy her. Dr. Pia's like, well, wouldn't questions help y'all get to know each other better? He said, not in this case. What is wrong with you?
Oh God, this man. Oh, Lord.
And so then he says, I'm here to be fixed. And Dr. P is like, look, I know that you don't need to be fixed. So the passive aggressive comments are not going to be helpful. And I said, yes, call him out. Because what is this? Why are you acting like this in front of a licensed professional? You come in with this attitude, this funky attitude.
The funkiest.
And then just giving her all, he's coming at her with the energy as if like he already thinks she's about to be on MM's side.
It's just incredibly childish. Like he's coming in with a little attitude, throwing a little temper tantrum, being like as she said, being passive aggressive. It's like, this isn't, what do you think this is achieving for you? Do you think this is a good look for you? Like, take a step back, see how you're acting. Someone that we all think came here for the opportunity to sell books, to be this self-help person or whatever. Do you think this is what you want to be portraying yourself as right now? It's so
right.
It's so childish and so it's so gross.
So then Dr. P is like, okay, MM, like, what do you think about this? She's like, I don't know. I thought the questions that I'm asking are healthy. I'm asking him, like, what does he want in this marriage? Like, what does he want in his wife? He's like, those aren't the questions I'm referring to. He said, but I promised her I wouldn't share, anything that we talked about like separately or whatever. And Dr. P was like, MM, do you have an issue with him sharing? And she's like, no, I don't know what he's talking about. And he's like,
I love this because this is usually people's way of not being specific about things.
Exactly.
He's just like, well, I don't want to share anything in confidence. And I loved Pia pulling the card and being like, well,
is it in confidence?
Yeah, let's check with the person that you're saying you're quote unquote. I hate when they go, I'm protecting this person by not doing this. That was Brennan's.
That was Brennan, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, and so Pia's like, so is there something that you don't want him to say or what? MM does take a quick, like a real like pause to think about it.
She's like, what could this be?
She's like replaying all their talks. It's like, is he about to embarrass me right now?
Yeah, she's like, I'm about to embarrass myself by saying yes.
She takes a chance. She takes a chance. She's like, nah, go ahead. Say what you gotta say.
Yeah. And he's like, this is about sex. He's like, she asked me like if I want her, and I don't want to have sex until like I know this is what it is. Like he's like, I don't want to initiate until until they're on like the same understanding in terms of marriage. He's like, I want to fully know her. He's like, she tried to initiate sex and I said no. And then she said, and so then Dr. Pia kind of is like, all right, you're like making a lot of allegations here, right? So he said she does say like they didn't start trying to have sex, or they didn't start. And he says, look, it was last week, because Dr. P was like, when was this? They said last week. He said it seemed to be a turnoff for her because she started acting funny after that, and now he feels like he's walking on eggshells. And then he said that every time that he says that she's aggressive, that bothers her. And
then stop calling her aggressive. Oh my God, I hate him so much.
He's like, so she said that she had a problem be calling her aggressive. Then I said, well, you are aggressive. So what do you want me to do about it?
Yeah,
like, dude.
Like, what is wrong with you? And so Dr. P is like, okay, well, what makes you say that she's being aggressive? He's like, well, I feel like sometimes, I feel like sometimes I'm a piece of meat in the house. He said, I feel like she's been wanting to do things that I don't want to do. And Dr. P said, okay, so you're saying that she's violating your consent. He said, That's what I said.
Cliffhanger.
Right. So then Dr. Pia, we come back from that. Dr. Pia's like, okay, what is he talking about? Because he's saying a lot. And I need clarity on what he's talking about. She's like, well, it's hard because he's giving mixed signals. Because when we got on the bus for the honeymoon, I put my hand on his leg and he put my hand in his nether region. And that was our first initiation of touch. And so that's
bus, or was it
I think she
that
said
night?
it was the I think it was the
Okay.
bus when they got on the bus in front of the other couples when they were being all like
when Ikechi was trying to show off.
Yes.
In front of the other couples. He was making this a competition to say,
Yep.
we are the best couple. Look, she's touching all over me. We're so physical together. Which I think is important to note in this conversation.
And so she said when she tries touching him and he says stop, she's like, okay, why? Because she just wants to know. And he's like, I don't know you. And so she feels like, and she also said that he feels like anyone could be there and she would treat them the same way. And she's like, no, I'm doing these things because I feel comfortable with you. Like, I feel like it's a you thing. And so Dr. Pia said, okay, Ikechi, so you're saying you feel uncomfortable because she's making advances when you're saying no. And she keeps trying to make these advances. And he's like, no, that's not what I'm saying.
Sure sounds like that's what you were saying.
Sure sounds like that's exactly what you're saying. He's like, I'm saying she's grabbing me, she's kissing me, and I can't get comfortable being with her because it's a turnoff. And so Dr. P is like, okay, well, is it a personality difference? He's like, yeah, being from the South, I'm not used to people making advances at me when I don't know them. He's like, and I've enjoyed our time together. And for the most part, Dr. Peter's like, well, do you want to get back to that? Like, what do you need? And he said, time. And Dr. Peter's like, well, like you want to know that she wants to get to know you outside of Married at First Sight. Like she's like, are you willing to do that, MM? And she said, yes. And he said he's willing to do it. And Dr. Peter's like, are y'all willing to put things aside and like go back to square one? And MM was like, yes. Like, I know he's a good person. And I believe he does want to be married. And I may have said things. And then she's like, oh, let me take that back. I did say things that made him feel uncomfortable. She's like, because he is admitting I made him feel uncomfortable. She's like, and so I'm saying I have said things that have made him feel uncomfortable. And I'm hearing that now. And I'm hearing that it's too much for him. And she's like, and he was like, I hear her. And like, I just don't know you. But when I say I don't know you, that just means I want to get to know you.
But don't ask me questions. But don't ask me questions to get to know me, because that's too much. It's like he's saying I want to know each other through osmosis. Like we're just gonna magically transfer knowledge about each other just by being around each other. But so don't ask me any questions about anything.
Because he said something like, I want to just be able to like sit in the nothing and just be like, what are you talking about?
I think he does not find her attractive. He does not like her. He does not want her to be his wife. And he wants to spend the next 5 weeks writing this out and just sitting in the same room and not answering questions, not asking questions. Just let's get this done.
Yeah, no, I think he's very just intimidated by her, and
yes, I think that was the trigger.
Definitely,
yeah. He's very insecure. He's very intimidated by her, and he's lashing out at her to try and chop her down, because the way he keeps saying like, "I don't know you," it's like it feels like he's wielding it. Like I don't. Oh, he is too much. Like, sir. I hope you know you're the villain. I hope you don't think you're coming off like you're the one in the right here, because you nobody's buying that book, homeboy.
No,
sorry.
No, I think when he's talking about this all from like the South and from the South, I think he might be talking about the fact that like he is used to initiating and leading, and he does not like the fact that MM is trying to initiate and lead in the situation, and that in and of itself for him is a turnoff, that she is being so direct and so forward and so ready to move on with things, and that he is not the one leading and initiating. That's really kind of turning him off of her.
He's
at this point.
intimidated by her financial success. He is intimidated by her confidence.
Yes.
He is intimidated by her directness. He wants her to just be fully submissive in every single way. And he wants to be the one taking the lead on any action that they take, any move that they make. And the fact that she doesn't need him to do that, then he's just like, well, what do you...
But she's also expressed that she doesn't mind. She wants him to lead and be direct and stuff like that. But he's not. So it's forcing her to then do it. Like her friend, like her cousin said, like, if you're so chill and laid back, then it sounds like she has to be aggressive for anything to get done. And then on top of that, I think this still means that they had sex on the honeymoon. Remember, we were speculating that they, or like, at least maybe not sex, but I think they messed around on the honeymoon. And I think that's why it's mixed signals. And I think they still want to keep that, like, we didn't do much on the honeymoon type thing, like that facade. But I do think that they like at least hooked up a little bit.
I think that dream is dead, Mario. in my opinion.
No, I think something happened that is giving her the green light to want to get to have more. There's some level of fit, like I feel like they've been more physical than Madison and Allan and David and Michelle.
Yep, exactly. Like I do get that feeling.
And now he's taking a step back, and while she's trying to continue to initiate that and progress, now he's like, I don't know you.
Yeah, I think that's just an excuse, because like, it feels like if she had just laid back in the beginning and let him initiate and let him quote unquote lead, they would be much further than they are now. But because he doesn't like the fact that she is the one that is taking some sort of charge, taking some sort of lead initiative, that has intimidated him and made him be like, I don't want a woman that's like going to be so forward like this. Like, that's the man's job. Like, it feels like that's what he's saying here. Like, it's the man's job to initiate blah, blah, blah.
In the South, the men lead.
In the South. Yeah, exactly.
In the South of it. But think about it. Like, but on the honeymoon, they seem like we knew they were playing a lot of stuff up in front of the other couples. But again, talked about it all the time during the honeymoon and stuff, like, oh no, I'll let you lead. Oh, I'm willing to follow. Oh, what do you need for me to be your wife and stuff like that.
But it's hard to break yourself with some habits, right? Because it feels like that's MM's way, is to be, and she felt like she got the green light. So she is moving forward as if the touch and the affection is okay.
Right.
So that's, she's saying, yes, lead me, do this, do that. But I also think she's used to being somewhat of a leader, if not a co-person in the relationship. So I think she can say that she wants him to lead her, but he's not leading her fast enough. So she's taking the initiative.
Well, and I mean, it's also a thing where he's making it seem like her being direct is his version of aggressive, and is not even respecting the fact that makes her feel uncomfortable that he's saying that.
Yeah.
And continues to say it in every opportunity he gets, when it's like, okay, now you're just being disrespectful.
Yeah, it feels like he's trying to hurt her. That's what I'm trying to get at. I think that effect, because they even, and that's another thing, I'm pretty sure on the honeymoon they both talked, said out of her mouth straight said, like, physical affection and physical touch is her love language. Like, that's how she knows. And I could have sworn he agreed with her or something like that. And he said, yeah, like, I understand. So that's why they were doing like physical touch as a love language throughout the beginning. So to me, what it feels like is, now that his insecurities have come up in Welch, he's punishing her on purpose by withdrawing that physical touch and trying to make her feel bad about losing that physical touch. Like, to me, it's very calculated and very manipulative. Like, I don't think it doesn't feel like it's how it's portrayed, as in like, oh, she's trying to come up on me and I'm like trying to tell her back. To me, it was, we were both at this level and now I'm trying to punish her. So I'm pulling back, and now I'm trying to make her pull back too.
Yeah, because they sure were like close together, touching on the honeymoon, even just a little like, they were like very close together, like not necessarily kissing and all that, but they were, especially in front of the other couples, they were very touchy-feely, where it feels like that was an act from Ikechi to be like, look at us, we're doing great. And then maybe like now it's just like, well, actually, no, I don't want that now. it's an interesting way to frame it, because I feel like if this was if the genders were reversed, I don't know if we would be thinking this or that, but that's something that has to come into it. And I don't know if he's playing it up, or if what he's saying is genuine. But I do feel like being super communicative about, hey, you're all up on me. Like what he said in front of Dr. Pia is what he should have said to her in
private.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's
No,
my
and I'm sorry, Asia. I'm not trying to say like I don't believe that his consent is being violated. I'm saying, like you said, he needs to communicate that, because where MM is probably coming from is like, but this is where we were. So I don't understand like why all of a sudden we can't be like that anymore, in a sense. So yeah, sorry, Asia.
Oh no, here's my issue. If he has such an issue, so he is approaching this in terms of getting to know each other, he's equating it with like real life. And he's the one that said this is a different experience, right? Like we know this is an 8-week expedited process. Yes, in the real world, you can just enjoy someone, and along the way you are getting to know them because things just come up, and then you're 2 years in, and then you can start thinking, is this the person I want to get married to? 1 to 2 years in, however the time, not 8 weeks. In 8 weeks, you need to be asking questions to get to know each other, because you are not afforded all of this abundance of time. And if you are being rigid on a 9 p.m. bedtime, and y'all work all day, like when are y'all having the time to get to know each other? That you have to ask direct questions to get to know each other, if you're not going to have all of this time to just go on these experiences and then just naturally get to know each other in the organic way.
It just shows his inflexibility and his unwillingness to actually want this experiment to work. Because if you're not willing to bend on your 9 o'clock bedtime to spend an hour or two getting to know your partner, then you just weren't in this to begin with at all. So it just shows more to me that he's just trying to play this out until the end and just get this over and done with. And it's really kind of sad that we have so many people that are so unwilling to be flexible here, and that's going to really just kind of doom this.
Could it be the fact that this cast is skewing older?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's never good enough for us, right? It's always like,
no,
these people are too young. They don't know enough to be in a marriage or relationship. Now we're like, these people are too old. They're set in their ways. Yeah. So there's got to be some happy medium here, where it's just like, and I mean, Thomas is 42, but it does feel like he is open, right? Yeah. And it's about different people. We can't box these people in and say, if you're this age, you're too old. If you're this age, you're too young. It's about the individual people and the way they are, the way their personalities are. So we got to stop being like, they're too old, they're too young. It's about the individual people. Because
we will not stop.
we will be stopping. But yeah, so it's about the individual people and how they interact with people in different situations.
Yeah. So this all in all was not a great expert visit, obviously. And so the last scene we get with them is very weird. They have not talked since the Dr. Pia visit, but he pays her a visit at work. Jackie is there. Apparently Jackie is her client that we needed to know her name. And so Jackie is getting some injections in her head, some wrinkles.
Botox.
Yeah, Botox. Yeah. So getting rid of wrinkles. I have friends that get Botox, but I don't think I'll ever do it.
Me neither.
I like the naturalness.
You're injecting a poison into your forehead every time.
Well, I'm a big Botox guy, so sorry.
And I'm not even. It's literally poison.
I get my treatments every week, Mari. You're not going to stop me.
One of my best friends is a dermatologist, and he is always offering up free Botox. I was like, I'll tell my friends. I'm like, yeah, I like the movement.
Yeah, very expressive, Asia.
Yeah, right.
But all that saying, she runs her own med spa. She got money.
Yeah, money. She is doing well for herself. So I don't know if this helped or hurt her case of his insecurity.
I know. And I looked up her practice. I was like, okay,
yeah. He walks in. She's a boss. Okay, beautiful clinic. like
Amazing
beautiful
clinic.
space. The aesthetics were great. So she does this Botox, and then they have a small talk about needles. Jackie leaves, and he's like, "Oh, maybe I need to get some." She's like, "Oh, you can come over." Blah blah blah. It's very awkward small talk with a person you haven't been talking to.
And he seemed like he was kind of judgmental of the whole process too. Like it from his tone, he was like, "No, I don't."
He's got
that.
Damn backpack again.
Yes, again, are you hiking?
He's always hiking.
Was the same day? Because he had the same beanie on, he had the same backpack. I'm like, because he says in the beginning of this, we have not talked since the Dr. Pia visit. So it's like, how long ago was it? Where are we at with this?
I'm imagining a couple of days.
Yeah, but like it's not helpful that you got this advice to talk more, and then we find out you haven't taken it. You haven't done it.
Yeah. So she said, "Look, this is where I spend most of my days." And he's like, "Look, I know, like with the Dr. Pia conversation, he's like, I just want you to know I wasn't trying to embarrass you." She's like, "Yeah,
that's exactly what he was trying to do, by the way.
He's like, I wasn't trying to like blatantly try to embarrass you. It's more of a subtle thing, but I think it came off obvious."
I think it works.
I think you realize what I was doing. So she's like, "Look, I'm just not sure how to move." Like she's like, "I need you to lead and direct. I don't know what makes you uncomfortable, so I don't know what to do." He's like, "Look, there's just too much going on with sex." He's like, "That's not how I want to get to know you." And she was like, "Well, what can allow me to get to know you better?" And he was like, "Just be in the moment. Just enjoy nothingness sometimes." He's basically saying, I want to be able to just sit and not talk.
Right. I want to get through the rest of this experiment without having like any real deep talks. I don't want to do any of this anymore. So let's just get through this.
He wants to be married, but he doesn't want to put in the work to be married.
Yeah.
He just wanted some woman who doesn't need much, who doesn't have like goals and aspirations, who just wants that same thing as him, just to be married. has way too much going for her to just be like, that's all I want is just to be married. No, she needs a partner. She needs somebody who she feels like she can accomplish things with, they can help uplift each other. They can lean on each other. And he's not willing to put in the work to get there. He just wants to be married. Enjoy the nothingness.
Y'all
are 1 month in. Y'all don't have time for nothingness.
Stupid.
No time for nothingness.
And so he says sometimes he just wants to take a road trip just to meditate. She's like, I'm fine with that. Like, it's good you tell me these things. She said, that's insight. That's insight.
Mm-hmm. But I think she doesn't realize he meant without her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He's like, I want to get off of work. I want to spend a weekend going somewhere, come back, and then you just enjoy nothingness with me. Yeah. We should not be talking about anything. I just feel like has reached her capacity for patience. I think we have seen as much patience as she can give.
Yeah, definitely from the preview next week. It looks like he is all out of patience.
We're finally going to get the scene next week where she says,
you bring me a clown, you're going to get a circus.
You bring me a clown, you're going to get a circus. So she is calling him a clown. It's something about like, she's like, I've been texting and calling you for 2 days. He's like, you have not been texting and calling me for 2 days. So.
Oh boy. And
he is an awful communicator and is he has proved himself to be very immature in conflict. And so he just becomes this like, I'm trying to hurt you as much as possible, but not giving you anything. I'm going to be as short as possible. We saw that with his interaction with her family. Yeah, he was just, exactly. Yep, I'm boring. Yeah. Like, are you 12? Like, why are you responding that way?
Yeah, and then with Dr. P is like, I'm just here to be fixed.
Yeah.
Like,
what?
What is this?
What?
Are you an adult?
I mean, it's the same level of maturity as Michelle when she's like, well, is this the part where you're going to come after me? Yeah. Like, what is going on?
And I will not begrudge for blowing up next week. I will be like, yes, girl, let him have it. We will not be calling her black and aggressive. We will not be blaming her. She
Not on this
had enough.
podcast.
Nope. And she will deserve to yell at this man as much as possible.
Oh, yeah. So this was a very frustrating episode for them because it's just like, he's not being completely honest about his reasoning for being how he is.
Mm-hmm.
And now that he's trying to blame it on sex, it seems like, okay, well, he's like, that's not a point anyone can argue. No one can argue my consent being violated when it's like, okay, if you're feeling uncomfortable in the moment, there's just so many layers to that. Yes, he may feel uncomfortable in the moment, but then it's like she's being communicated something differently with the example she gave. She thought they were on a different level. Now she hears him. Now it'll be a different story moving forward. So you can't continue to say that because now that she's heard this, she's gonna be respectful of his space. Mm-hmm. But then it's probably gonna turn into, I don't even know if she wants me.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even
know.
We'll
see. I can't wait to see what happens. I hope she lays all his stuff out there. So
I do too. What are we thinking with ratings?
One.
It's a 1.
Same. It's a 1, a solid 1. So we have 3 couples as 1, AKG and MM, Allan and Madison, and David and Michelle. Juan and Carla are hanging on by a thread at a 2. And then we got Thomas and Camille at a 5.
Boy.
Ooh-wee.
Where's our 4s at?
Not here. Not this season.
Not this season at all.
Let's get this swap going and maybe we'll get another 4.
Like, what are y'all thinking about David and Madison? I really hope that is something that happens before the after. I was going to say after the final rose. What do you call it? Beyond the decision.
Where are they now?
Where are they now?
I was going to say after the altar.
Yeah, I said beyond the decision day.
Yeah.
I've confused all these different shows. But thank y'all so much for sticking with us. That was episode 9. We will be back next week to talk about episode 10. It seems episode 10 is a good episode for a lot of seasons. So we definitely are going to get some drama as we've seen in the previews. Make sure you go subscribe to the Love at First Sight feed. Also join our Facebook group, A Perfect Match Podcast, where this week the password is What's with the Attitude? Mari, what are you up to? Where can people follow you?
You can find me on Blue Sky. I'm not on that other platform. Follow me at Mari Talks Too Much. That's 2, like the number 2. Me and Sarah Carradine bringing true crime over on Crime Scene. Go to crimescenepod.com in order to subscribe there, especially if you're having issues with your Spotify. We're having real issues getting the Spotify feed running as it should. So if you think you're subscribed on Spotify, just check and type in Crime Scene and subscribe to the most recent the feed with the most recent episode. Or you can literally just listen on crimescenepod.com, like on the website. So we have some really good ones coming up soon. Sasha joins us to talk about Bad Actor, a documentary on Hulu. We had such a fun time with Sasha on with us. And then, of course, Recap Kickback, me and Chappelle talking about whatever we want to. Mm-hmm. So go check that out. We talked about biggest heist ever over there. It was really funny. We talked with Ty. Just go to recapkickback.com to subscribe or go watch the YouTube at youtube.com/@recapkickback. Hopefully we can get Jason on to finish the Cross series sometime soon.
We finished the Cross series last night. So
all right, great. So just go subscribe over there. And that's it for me.
Love it. Jason, what about you?
You can find me here, obviously. Last week I talked 90 Day Fiance with Puya over on the RHAPup podcast, 90 Day RHAPup, so you can check me out there. You also check me out on The Good Pod, where I talk to my co-host Marissa Garza about the show The Good Wife and Elsbeth, currently running right now. So check me out there if any of that stuff resonates with you.
All right, and y'all can catch me here every week talking about Married at First Sight. You can follow me on Blue Sky, Instagram at Aysha like Aysha. That's Aysha like ASIA. And also on Cameo. If you're looking for a Christmas gift, I've been having a lot of fun recording those. So definitely request a Cameo if you're looking for a gift for anyone, or if you're looking for anything. If you're looking for me to say anything, and if you want pepper and cinnamon, request them. People have, and I fulfill that request. Okay. So we will be back next week to talk about episode 10. So please come back and join us. And until next week, bye.